And you're going to look here.
So, good evening everyone, and welcome to the 10th of December meeting for the newly formed South Kent Community. This is our first meeting outside of the inaugural triennial one, which was sort of setting the business in place. So, as you can see, we've got a lot of people here. It's going to be a very busy meeting for our first meeting. And we have 5 delegations to here today. And I'd just like to remind everybody up front that the delegations are for 10 minutes with 5 minutes for points of clarification. Okay, so welcome everybody, and I'll just go through health and safety. So health and safety, the green exits here and out the back, and meet out by St John in the car park. We don't have any apologies. No. Announced urgent business. What I would like to propose is that we take all of the 5 delegations and we move them into urgent business, and we address how we go forward on each of those. So that will be in urgent business, in the meeting. So we will hear your delegations, and then we will address how we go forward with each of those delegations later in the meeting. Okay. And does anybody have any conflict of interest?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Firstly, decision item 2.5, the fee waiver request for the Koa Sports Cluster Triathlon. My employment would preclude me from taking part in that discussion or decision. And then just for transparency, we're receiving a deputation from the Food Secure Hiranui group in conjunction with Amberley Garden Club, and by virtue of not only my councillor role, but I guess a community member, I've been heavily involved with that group. So I'm just stating that for transparency. I don't believe it precludes me from decision making or discussion. And finally, we are also having a deputation from constituent Jill Hobbs in regards to Patel. Just for transparency, I had some conversations with her in regards to process and quotes and some contact with Canterbury Patel some months ago. However, I'm not aware of exactly why she's here. So again, for transparency. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move to our first deputation, which is the men's shed. And I understand there are a number of people here. Michael, you're going to
Oh, hi, Mike. Yes, I'll be speaking on behalf of Mitch.
Yeah, okay, good to see, and yeah, you might like to sort of mention the names of the other Menchie representatives. Thank you. So 10 minutes for your presentation and then 5 minutes for vote or clarification questions from.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, appreciate the time for us to come in and have a chat with you. Hopefully you've been sent or have a copy of our application. I'm not going to read it because that'd just be boring. It's a good read, but I just wanted to have a chat really, and in a few moments I'll get our members that are happy to introduce themselves. Some of them may be a little bit shy, and that's okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Menchie. Now, lots of people may have heard of it. You may not be all that familiar with what it actually means. So I wanted to talk a bit about its beginnings. So the Men's Shed movement began in Australia in the 90s as a way to support men's wellbeing, providing connection and purpose. New Zealand adopted the model in the mid-2000s and now has one of the strongest networks outside of Australia. It's not just woodworking for old blokes, but there is woodworking for old blokes, just to be clear. We're very inclusive. The only requirement is the right attitude. Women, men, young, old, it doesn't matter to us. In the beginning, decades ago, many couples found it after retirement and the transition from working life to nothing, and the shock of suddenly being under each other's feet every waking hour can cause friction. In addition, the loss of professional networks leading to isolation and loss of purpose. A lot of men only had work friends. The shed is a great place to escape the stress of underfoot syndrome, and as a result of that, women are amongst our most ardent supporters. Today, 30 plus years later, things have changed. And we have changed with them, but the original ethos remains the same. Combating isolation, loss of purpose, loneliness, providing routine, connection, skills, and belonging. This is for all members, not just the men. We have 37 members at the moment, with our most senior being 100 in March. Thanks, John. So I'd like to take this opportunity for those members that are here who'd like to introduce themselves and just give a brief intro as to why you're in the shed. Feel free to.
Do I start?
Absolutely.
My name is Gilbert Croft. I came to Amberley 4 or 5 years ago. I recognised as far as my work as that it's not what I had done, it's what I hadn't done. And I'd never really learned to operate tools. I paid somebody else. So it was a real pleasure to get to know how to use tools and to produce something at the end of it that I could be proud of. And I hope that continues. But at the moment, of course, we're stuck for a place.
My name's John Stratford. I'm a member of Amberley's Men's Shed, and I'm here to support.
I'm John Black. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Amberley Men's Shed. I've been a member for about 10 years or more and was the Chairman for a short time. Our organisation has done some amazing things to help out other organisations within Amberley over the last, at the time of my membership anyway.
I'm Bruce Watson. I'm just here to support our group.
Good evening, my name is Steve Middleton. As you probably guessed, I'm a Brit and I'm a new entry to not only Amberley but to New Zealand. We've been in New Zealand about 4 years and in Amberley just over 2. And networking is important when you're in the position I'm in, when you go to try and find new friends. You know, I spent 40, 5 years of my life traveling around the world working, and all that just sort of went when I retired. I've come here, and the men's shed has been great. It's just sort of introduced me to new people, to new things, new ideas, and I fully support, what is being said here today. I agree with it.
I'm here for Hunt, who's representing our agenda that go to men's shed, and we're currently on Helen Newton's property. Helen couldn't be here tonight, but Helen has bravely housed us as such, literally alongside her house, let us use her bathroom, etc. And very sadly, it's time now for Helen to move on, but it's the right thing for her. We're very supportive of that, and we're here for the paper. I go to men's shed, as does my 87-year-old father, and due to hearing loss, it's easier for him to do things possibly away from the shed, but he makes fairy boxes and little bird houses that we sell through our stalls and stuff. So I'm here to support Mike with the paperwork that he's presenting.
Okay, thanks everyone. Yeah, the next item I'd like to move on to is acknowledging the work done today. Yeah, this has been a long road for us. Some have found it challenging, and we do have a lease, for those that aren't aware, on a bit of land in the domain. There's been a lot of work done from our end, from council's end, and previous committee, and I just want to acknowledge that. We're not wanting to undo that. We want to take that and just relocate to a place that's more suitable, which I'll get to in a brief moment. The other thing I wanted to cover off is just a little bit about the site history. So the men's shed presented to the previous community committee a range of sites that we thought might be suitable for our use. The committee looked at those, and unfortunately only one of those was put forward to the full council, which was the BMX track. Subsequent, near the BMX track, not the actual track, right, because that wouldn't be any good for beauties. Subsequent to that, we entered into a lease with the council, which we were exceptionally excited about. This was an awesome day for us after many years of very hard work. We then started to work on the building project, and unfortunately, the cost for that just became unmanageable. At the moment, we're looking at somewhere between 270 and 322,000. This depends on whether we need a power transformer or not, and that's actually not all of the costs. That gets a rough cost of between 1,500 and 1,700 per square metre. As a comparison, the Weka Pass Railway, not too long ago, built a 650 square metre shed for 350,000, being about $332 per square metre, a third of what our costs are, simply because their site was more suitable that they built on. I also want to talk a little bit about why Amberley Central and why it matters to us. Some of our members cannot drive, other members have mobility limitations. A central site ensures safe access, visibility and long-term viability of the shed, allowing us to grow membership and serve a wider section of the community. Supporting skill sharing, mentoring, intergenerational projects and community workshops. The proximity to Amberley School, senior students interested in hands-on learning opportunities can partake in those. We've had preliminary conversations with the school and they're supportive of the idea. It also gives us improved access for community funding, just makes us more visible, easier to see, easier to find, easier to get to. Now, I also want to touch on a little bit about why the men's shed's space requirements are different than a lot of other groups. Unfortunately, we require a dedicated space, not a hall or a shared space. Machinery, tools, benches, equipment cannot be packed away easily after each session. Projects run over days, weeks, and to be honest, sometimes months. We need a stable, ongoing workspace and secure storage. Our commitment, we are committed to work with the board, with you guys and the council and the wider community to get this moving for us.
Michael, we're getting close.
Understand? Yep. So in closing summary, should we secure the right space and build the right shed? We have a community space that can be used every day to support the wide range of our community and a wide range of activities. We ask that a small working group be established to look at the locations that could work. We are aware that the next meeting is not until February, and we ask if there's any way that we can look at the green shed in Leafield as per our deputation as a temporary short-term location before then. So anyway, that could work, that would be brilliant. The hard work is already done. We now just need a new site to build on. We're not asking for special treatment or a handout, just a suitable path that allows us to keep giving back to Amberley. The alternative would be the closing of our shed and a huge loss for the community. Our last official date for us is the 17th December, next Wednesday. Please, let's not that be the end. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Are there any questions of clarification?
Yes, I just would like to know what the square metres of the shed that you require.
Well, 200 metres would be ideal.
300 squares.
Now, if we had an opportunity to start with 100, that is about what we have now. But in the
100 now.
Yeah. So on Helen's place, we're using her shed, and she's got the place on the market, which is why we're going to go. It's about 100 squares.
And the shed down in Leathfield is how many squares? You know?
It's much smaller.
Yeah.
We estimate about 80.
And how high do you need? Like,
The higher the better. If it was high enough, the shed that we had planned would be high enough to put a mezzanine floor in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be extraordinarily high. You know, there are things like vacuum systems, dust collection, you know, that needs, so 2.4 stud, for example, would be tight.
but like 3 metres would
Yeah.
be sufficient.
Kevin and then Pauline.
So thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a quick question, and I would like to foreshadow that I'd like to move a motion in respect to the presentation as well. So that will comply with standards. So Michael, one of the reasons why the site to the northwest of Domain was not put forward was, I believe, was used by the AMP Society on show day for horse slope parking.
That's what we believe.
I remember driving past the BMX track on my show, at the back end. All the horse floats actually seem to be parked there, including the land which is Lisa.
They were, yeah.
And so forth. So it'd be correct to say that when it came to show day, in actual fact, the horse floats weren't parked out there. They were parked more on the land which you lease.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. No, I noticed that, was a little surprise myself. It was some years ago, of course. So what are the times?
23, I think. I do have a motion.
Yes,
Of course.
I believe that the motion will carry over to, we've got the item on urgent business.
Do so. I wasn't quite sure how you want to do this. You want to do we do the presentations and then do the actions and emotions all in one group. Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Correct. Yes, we'll take the presentations first, and all of the delegations have been moved to urgent business.
That's fine. No problem.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Michael, for your commentary and clarity. Just a couple of questions that you may be able to answer. So the temporary, proposed temporary use of the Leathfield Beach green shed, are you aware, you've said it's currently used for miscellaneous storage. Who is using it for storage? Do you know?
I'll ask. Probably mice, rats and stray cats.
Oh.
It hasn't been used for 30+ years. In fact, it wasn't even on the council asset register. That's how forgotten it has been.
Thank you, that's helpful. And just secondly, you mentioned that you have a willingness with your preferred site at the Amberley Domain to engage directly with the netball and tennis clubs. Have you had any conversations with them, prior to this deputation?
We didn't want to jump the gun.
Thank
There
you.
are assumptions, but we're more than happy to do that.
Great, thanks for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, James.
Are you aware of the tennis court area where you're proposing to put the men's shed that the observatory is going? There's a stuff already planned to go in that corner.
Yeah, I understand that it's the site of the old observatory, and I
Yeah.
understand that there's activities planned there, but I don't know the details of what they are.
Yeah.
There's a reasonable amount of space in there now that the trees have been removed, that were part of the previous reason for not being able to use that site.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Michael, and your supporting team. As I said, we'll take that, take your item and we'll delve into it a lot more and make some decisions.
Thanks very much. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. And now call on Food Secure Veronoi in conjunction with the Amberley Gardens Club. And I'm sorry.
My name is
I'll
Brett.
leave your name there and.
Brett Keats.
Okay, sorry, if you could introduce yourself, that'd be great. Sorry, I didn't have your name.
So that's,
Community garden, not the garden club. We're very fortunate, I recall doing the presentation very similar to this in the Hammer, and Mari, Mia Mari was there at the time. So we've got Jackie Rose who's going to actually share the screen, so you won't have to look at me, you can look up there in a second.
okay.
That's fabulous. Right. So first of all, thank you. Is it a committee or a community board?
It's a community.
It is community. So
Newly constituted.
excellent. Thank you very much for allowing us to do a presentation. I'll sort of talk about the why to start with in terms of Food Secure North Canterbury has been going for 5 years and it's made up of a number of organisations. But we came to Hiranui a couple of months ago to talk about food security, about food forests, building connections within the community, and talking about education of food security actually in the community in the Hiranui. And we had a hall full of people at the bowling club. And from that, we realised there was certainly an issue with regard to food security, both in the Hiranui and also in the Waimakariri. So what we wanted to do was actually look at seeing as to how we can actually rectify, particularly with regard to the insecurity of the food. I look at Winton Daly in terms of what he's setting up in Waikari, in terms of the amount of food that he's actually growing there on particular land. We didn't want to replicate that sort of model. What we wanted to do was see as to whether or not we could actually take a reserve piece of land and actually create like pocket food forests, very similar to what we've done at Tarndale Park in the Hamner Springs. So Jackie and Ali, next one, Jackie and Ali, they actually put out from a community engagement perspective, they put out a flyer around all the residents within that area of Seadown Crescent Reserve, and sort of asking them as to their feedback as to would they be supportive of actually having a food forest or a pocket food forest or a community garden in that park. And that's the sort of feedback. If you have a read, like John and Sharon talked about, that they love the idea. Laurie said it was a brilliant idea. Leroy said it was a great idea and they'd love to help. And Ashley said, wonderful idea, we'd love to also help. So there was nothing but positive. But this next slide shows really the crucial part of a community garden or a food forest. And I'll point to the last part, which is the quote from Kelly: "A garden grows more than food, it grows people, connections and futures." And this is the important part about food security, or particularly food forests. It actually brings people together. And when we look at Seadown Park, or Seadown Crescent Reserve, it's got a wonderful wee playground. It's right in the heart of a whole pile of houses. There's already trees there already. It's family accessible. But the beauty of it is that you already have a reserve management plan, which has it in there that we can have a community garden. So that's what we want to do. We actually want to effectively, the residents want to effectively adopt this park. What we're wanting to do is actually create or start planting edibles in a food forest manner, and hopefully you've now all received a copy of, or hopefully you've received a copy of this in there. So Jackie's going to drop around. A lot of people do not understand what a food forest is, so effectively I'll just briefly explain, but before you actually get the handouts. A food forest, if you were to go into Fiordland National Park, you actually see trees which are big canopy trees. You'll then have smaller trees, you'll have vines, you'll have smaller plants which cover the ground and that sort of thing. Effectively, that's what a food forest is, but instead of actually having like beech trees, beech trees, which would be the canopy tree, we replace those canopy layers with fruit or nut trees. Underneath that, we put supporting layer of trees, which are also edibles. Then underneath that, we put vines, ground cover, rootstock, and all that sort of thing. So we have up to 7 layers of food actually growing in that area. The other thing is that thanks to Jackie, she actually started to
And from that initial meeting, she actually started to gather people around, and already we've had a number of meetings. So just like the men's shed, we've got a whole pile of people sitting in the room which are not the men's shed. And I'll just ask you to all put up your hands who are here in support of having a community garden, food forest and Seadown Park. So thank you folks for doing that. So what we want to do is we effectively want to have, just as I said, adopt a park. It'll be community led. It'll be very, very different from like a council controlled situation where the council will employ contractors to go and do all the work. It will be all come down to volunteers going in and actually doing all the work. At the same time, we're very, very blessed to actually have Angela, who is actually living in the community, that has a huge amount of skill in terms of food foresting and actually growing food. She already runs her own education programs through at her own property, but we would love to actually see more and more education programs all about growing food in Seadown Reserve Park, because this will not be able to feed the whole community. What it will do is it will inspire, or we would hope it will inspire people to go, this is such an easy way of growing food. Why not we replicate this and do it in our own backyard? So I better explain some of these photos. So the top left one, it's very, very, does everybody know who Graham is, or Graham from Hamner Springs? So Graham, so that's the first planting day. He was the first initiator of the Tarndale Park. We actually did a presentation to the community board up there. The community board then requested that we put together a design. We had a food forest design course in Hamner Springs where 9 people did the course. Then those 9 people helped me come up with a design for Tarndale. And then that's the first day of actually the planting. The funniest thing about it is that the residents, the local residents, saw what we were doing, couldn't work out what we were doing. The children came down to give us a hand to plant the trees and plants that we're putting in. And then a woman came down with scones and teas and coffees. And that's what happens when it comes to a community food forest. The photo underneath, which is very, very difficult to see. Thank you, Jackie.
Sorry.
I tell you what, Jackie has just been amazing throughout this whole process. And I'd certainly like to acknowledge the amount of work and effort that she's actually put into it. She's certainly a valuable member, I'm assuming, of the, I would certainly assume within the Hurunui staffing. The second one down on the left-hand side is Pines Beach Food Forest. And there's 20 elderly or 20 adult disabled people that actually attend a hall nearby. They wanted to be part of the food forest, so they actually built a bug house, and they came in and they helped plant trees. They just feel so much more welcomed to be part of a food forest again, because it's a community project. The next photo down is we've just planted a food forest in Rangiora, and we started off with 6 of us and 30 odd people turned up. And we started off, we had a design, and we ended up doubling the design within an hour and a half. We had scouting involved. It's just amazing. This is what happens when you set up a community park or a community garden sort of situation, particularly when you adopt it. So, skipped. We're going to go all the way to this one here. That's it. That's lovely. So this is the rough idea. We effectively want to not remove anything that's already there. We're effectively just adding value to this already wonderful park. The actual trees that you see there, those are the sort of rough idea of the plantings. What we'd like to do is work in closely with the staff to work out any suggestions in terms of, because there's quite a lot of swales in this particular park, working around them as to how we can actually plant things, whether or not we're allowed to, say, put compost bins or raised planters. Those are the sort of questions what we're going to be asking in terms of working with the staff to see as to how we're going to make this park the best it possibly can be. We'd also plant fruit trees, and we're working with the community as to what is it that they'd like to see planted. And the last slide, the next steps effectively is,
as we're getting to both.
I know, I could counting down 10 minutes in my head. So effectively what we're asking Mr. Chair and the community is, or the board is, to agree in principle or provide an endorsement for us to provide the information to the staff to then write a report to bring back to this board to actually then say, yes, give us the go ahead to actually start a food forest or a community garden in see down. And that's about it. But there's a lot of other things that we need to do as well. And probably I'll request that Jackie actually sends this PowerPoint to you all. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. If there's any questions.
Yes, any questions? Through the chair, if I could just ask 2 quick questions. What's the total area that you're proposing to use for the garden?
Good question. So effectively what we're going to do is just really go around the edges. Down by 33 and 21, there are quite low fencing or virtually no fencing at all. So we're not proposing to actually block out any of their views into the park. So what we're proposing to do, and there's a swale where you see the black box where Jackie Rose is up there, down that right-hand side, there is quite a large swale. So effectively what we'd be doing is planting the top and down this edge and a little bit there, and potentially put in planter boxes as well. Because the food forest doesn't actually, it's better to actually keep some plants not in a food forest, because you don't want to dig. You effectively plant the fruit trees and other plants and then leave them be.
And so, and secondly, you've just mentioned that you've had experience with another food garden. Is there any sort of formal arrangement to make sure that it's maintained and that it doesn't get away?
So this is the amazing thing about a food forest, is that once you actually start it, you physically can't stop it. And the purpose really is to plant it intensively right from the start, so it actually can't get away on you effectively. So this would be the 12th one that we're working on currently. We've got them everywhere from Hamner Springs all the way throughout the Waimakiriri as well. So we started off with the Kaiapoi Food Forest, which is now 8 years old, and that's been effectively a model which we've worked from. And so I started that, and really I'm from Kaiapoi. I'm only here as to help the team to get it going. The other thing is too that I'm a member of Food Secure North Canterbury, as is Jackie, as is Angela, and we would fund a lot of the Kickstarter as well in terms of providing a lot of plants. But yeah, does that answer your questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. But in terms of getting away, it's just like any other trees in that park. The difference is that they'll be filled with food. And we would effectively, we would request that council look after grass, and we as a committee or an ad hoc committee would effectively look after the gardens.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Can you just in one sentence summarise exactly what you're looking for now to help the project?
So we would request that we send through health and safety a design through to staff to then write a report to then come back to here. That's what I would imagine we would be requesting. Would that be? Does that sound like the right thing to do? Yeah. Because effectively that will then virtually clarify exactly what we're proposing. Yeah. Yeah.
Just a couple of very quick questions. So you haven't actually talked to the property unit staff at council?
Yeah. Sorry, if I'm okay to speak, I do work for the council.
Oh, cool.
And involved with this and have been liaising with property teams as well.
So the group, would it be an incorporated society? Do you have a legal status? No.
What we've found with every other food forest, with the exception of the Kaiapoi Food Forest, the council initially said that we actually had to set up a trust, a charitable trust or an incorporated society, wanted to have a memorandum of understanding, huge amount of hurdles to actually climb over. Ever since we've now, I said 12, we've actually set up 18 of these. We effectively, it's a very ad hoc group, and it works so much better when it's a group of volunteers. There's certainly leaders, the likes of what you see in the room here. They will be the leaders and they will be responsible for the maintenance of the area, but effectively they won't be set up as a.
So what about security and vandalism? Have you had any problems of that elsewhere?
It happens everywhere. Yeah. What we hope to do is that people steal fruit when it's ready. That's fine, so long as they don't steal the trees or the plants. But it does happen. But it's just one of those nature of the beast.
And you're on council land elsewhere?
Yes.
And you don't have formal leases or anything?
No. The only formal lease we have is with the Kaiapoi Food Forest, but that's 1.5 acres, and it's completely filled with fruit trees. It produces about 10,000 kilos of food every year.
So you're on council land at Hamner Springs?
Yep. Yes. Tarndale Park, all the other parks we have all throughout. Effectively, it's just pockets of fruit trees and plants. It's not, doesn't take over the whole area. It enhances them.
So you've got Hanmer, you mentioned Hanmer Springs.
Tarndale Park?
Yeah. Any others in Naburno?
No, this would be the second one.
The second one. Okay. And irrigation is obviously mentioned, and that's quite a key. So you'll be covering off correct suggestions for.
Yeah. So we would work with the staff to overcome some of those hurdles that would need to work out. Yep. But it's like one of the ones in Rangiora, one of the local engineers, he could see the need for water. So he has set up a bike. And so people go into the food forest and they bike and it draws water and actually waters all the plants. So again, it's all because of volunteers. They come up with the different ideas. It's amazing what you'll find in the community as to solutions. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Jake.
So our next delegation is from Julia McLean, Alan Hood and Alex Klein regarding Amberley Beach Road safety, and it's confirmed for me that we don't have anything from you at the moment.
No.
And Julia, are you the main presenter?
No, the three of us are equally important here today.
So 10 minutes.
Sure. So Julia McLean, resident of Amberley. I come with my Huranui Trails Trust hat on, as well as just a regular resident. We come with lived experience and we come with passion and a commitment to our community to improve what we're witnessing, what we're experiencing, and we would like to lay out the issue, but we also come with the solution. We've already been to the Huranui Road Safety Committee and spoke at great length there, longer than 10 minutes, and I guess that was the right place for this issue to be tabled, but it was suggested that we also come to inform you as newly elected board members, because the Amberley Beach Road path has been a long-running issue, and we are now saying, and part of why I'm here publicly is to share with you my concerns, because lives will be lost, and the behaviour on that road, the speed, the condition of the road, the high number of users that just want spaces and places to exercise safely is growing in this community. The behaviour I experienced whilst riding my horse with my daughter back in September was so much so that I wrote to this community, and the response was really positive because I had video evidence. But so much so that I could have kicked a car with my foot, and I'm riding an animal. Then I talked to community, and the feedback with stories. You bring in Alan Hood here, who rides our streets every day. Everyone who doesn't know Alan on his bike hasn't lived here long enough. And then Alex is committed to this pathway and has been attending Trails Trust meetings and championing this pathway with the former board for quite some time. And so after my experience in September, I shared with the Trails Trust because I was angry. And yeah, this is how it's sort of come to be here today. So I'd like to pass to Alan because he's experiencing behaviours daily, and also Alex is in conversation with council, and the goalposts are changing, but they really have only changed as a result of highlighting this issue in community. And we're seeking your support to really move this project faster than it has done in the last 10 to 20 years. Locals tell me it's been on the cards for 20 years. I don't know. But Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan Hood. I've lived in Amberley for 12 years. We were refugees from the Kaiapoi Green Zone. I ride the Beach Road probably most days, also Double Corner Road. Very, very handy roads for a cyclist because of Amberley, of course, which I didn't realise is very windy. It's a high wind zone, and those roads you can dodge the wind a bit more. Also, what I've learned since I've been in Amberley is it makes sense rather than going down a road 20k into a headwind and turning around and coming back with a tailwind. It's not really a very good workout. So you can find a little area around Amberley, go around a wee block, plenty of nice new subdivisions now. Go around them, that's 1 kilometre. You go around them 10 times, that's 10 kilometres. That to me makes more sense now than at nearly 80 than going down a road, as I say, going down a road tailwind, coming back in headwind. For those that see an old man and imagine some old guy going down Beach Road a couple of times, doing 10k, 15k. So far this year, I've clocked up 12,300 kilometres. So I'm out on the road a lot. In the last 18 months, I've had 6 cases where a vehicle that should have given way to me hasn't given way. And it's only probably really because of my experience as a cyclist. I'm not a kid. You get a kid in the same situation, could end up very seriously injured, maybe even dead. Cars are a pretty heavy sort of, they weigh a lot. The cyclist doesn't weigh very much. The bike, well, I ride on a road bike. The bike weighs about 7 kg. I'm 65 kg. So not a lot of weight involved there compared to a car. I have ridden these roads around Amberley a lot more before I arrived in Amberley. I've been a cyclist, cycle racing cyclist for 65 years, so we're talking 6.5 decades. I used to come up in a bunch from Christchurch, a bunch of about 60 riders riding to a rest, and ride around the streets of Amberley. Well, I would suggest that those streets haven't changed in all those years from 1970 through to now, other than the new subdivisions look nice. There's no provision for cycle safety whatsoever. And as a cyclist, I would dearly love to see some. The only thing I see is a little stretch of white line, a wee bit of green paint, which I noticed that the white lines have been repainted. The green paint hasn't been repainted outside the entrance to Countdown on the main road. That's the only so-called little bit of cycle safety in Amberley. And I would seriously, even if that's all we can get, I would like to see more of that around the place. Just a white line, wee bit of green paint, a silhouette of a cycle. It does give a wee bit of protection, and it's very, very worthwhile. But we want the Amberley Beach Road, but we need a lot more than that. Also, the Double Corner Road, there's a lot of cyclists using that. I'm a man. We now have an Amberley social cycling group, mainly all e-bikers. We've got about 50 members, and we've either got to go out on the roads on the outskirts of Amberley, shingle roads, to ride safely, or they go down to Kaiapoi or go to Rangiora to get on the cycle paths. There's nothing around Amberley for that group, seriously. And apart from that, there's a lot of other, a lot of e-cyclists around Amberley, riding around down Double Corner Road, down the Beach Road, and having a lot of problems. It's not safe. We seriously need something done about cycle safety on the road. There's a lot of adults riding around Amberley on footpaths, believing footpaths are safe. Well, they're not safe either. They need to be on the road. Obviously, the reason why they're not on the road, they don't feel safe. And, you know, our kids should be safe to cycle to school like we used to do as kids.
July 2025 average traffic movement data for Amberley Beach Road shows close to 1,400 traffic movements between east and west, and Double Corner Road is something like 690. just FYI. And Alex gets to be the good cop.
Alex Klein, I'll be working with the, I'm a trustee on the Hurunui Trails Trust, and I was on the board committee for the last two. We've been working pretty hard over the last probably 10 years to try and get a cycleway down the beach. I've been working with the council staff. I managed to get, we've got a rough plan. The council are happy to help us get all the permissions, the license to occupy and all that sort of stuff that we need to get in place. We've got quotes. We're looking at having to stage it to try and keep things moving, because from here to Hersey Terrace is pretty straightforward. It's just down the side of the road. Once you get down the bottom of the hill, there's quite a bit of work with culverts and bridges and things. So that's going to be the second stage. So I've got quotes. The process of getting punctuality applications organised. So we're trying to do that. So I just want to hear permission from support from you guys to keep going with it. With punctuality stuff and that. So
yeah. So in summary, great to always have a chat to your partner in crime before you present, because he is at the stage where he can actually present to funders. That's where the conversation's now at, and so it would be fantastic, I think, to have some serious endorsement from this board. You know your community. You know how long this has been wanted. You also are aware of incidents that have happened on the road. So the fact that we've been presented with the opportunity for a staged project allows it to get moving. And that is, time's up. But the point being, we would like to handle this as a community. And if we have to raise the funds and get the funds, allow us to do that so that we can get the job done.
Thank you.
So with the footpath, is it going to be a cycleway or is it a footpath like
shingle?
Shingle?
Yeah, it'll be shingle.
Right.
Line chip.
And sort of how wide?
1.5 metres.
So those specs have been done in coordination with
council, and cycleway.
So just to clarify, you're a trustee on the trust,
yes,
representing the Amberley area.
I'm representing the Amberley area. I'm the Hurunui Trails Trust. So we're hoping to get this as the first part of a lot of trails around Amberley. We just need to get working on it. So it's hard work. We're getting there.
Obviously being worked on for a number of years.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you are in conversation with the executive of council?
Yeah, the council engineer. So, okay.
So you're looking for support from us for
yes,
the initiatives that are already underway?
Yes,
Yeah, and through the chair, inquiries and the positions that you hold as to the development contributions, and I know we've spoken about this for years in this community, but really if there is any way in which they can be accessed to contribute to this pathway, because you've got 2 subdivisions that have come online and developers have shared with me that there will be significant development contribution funds come next year, but we're not looking to end of next year. We want this done sooner than that. So, but whatever you can sort of trigger would be greatly appreciated on behalf of the community.
Exactly. I'm sure you're aware there are conditions, really strict conditions.
Yep. But everything can also be, well, the argument being those funds are being collected on behalf of community, and so this pathway begins and ends in this community. So, everything is up to interpretation and the will of the people.
Any further questions?
What's the distance from Amberley Beach? How long is the footpath going to be?
4 to 5 k's, yeah. One of the frustrating bits with the tenders we've got, or prices we've got, is that I think they're around about 120,000 to do the first stage. And of that, most of them are about $50,000 of traffic management and set up things and that, so much money's frustrating.
Pauline first, then Kevin.
Yeah, thanks. Just clarity, just for, I guess, the community board and constituents as well. So I'm aware of, you know, the length of time that, you know, we've been working to try to get this off the ground. Are we proposing a shared path, as in walking and riding?
Yes.
So we're talking potentially mobility scooters, horses, cycles. So we're not just talking walking and cycling.
No, it'll be a AP40 base with a lime, crushed lime type finish on it.
Kirunga Anuku calls that a shared multi-use pathway. And as a strategy for this council, we have committed to looking at multi-use pathways and under really extraordinary circumstances, excluding a group. So yeah, multi-use pathway first.
Thank you.
So you actually answered the question in a way, but the construction design will be sufficient to take the weight of a horse?
I don't think
I'm aware of horse damage to walkways elsewhere.
Yes, yeah.
You should leave dirt on the side.
That's right. So you presented the road safety committee. I assume you raised the issues around driver behaviour with them.
Yeah.
Were they able to give you any help or solutions in that respect?
So the road, when we presented 2 weeks ago, had no signage on it whatsoever. And so there was assurance given that some road signage would be looked at, because we feel that drivers on that straight stretch of road in an 80 could do with some reminders about other road users, because we do need to, as a community, promote shared use of roads. Yeah, so there is the opportunity there, and we raise the condition of the road in terms of those verges. Yeah, and you should take a drive and have a look, because yeah, there's very little space if you're on 2 wheels. And even when you're on a horse, the condition of the sides is, yeah, hard work.
So the 22K, that doesn't actually complete the.
It was only to Hursley Terrace.
Last question.
Yeah, to the top of the basically.
Cool, thank you.
Oh, I mean, I sit here as an observer to the community board, but can I just also say I was present at the Road Safety Committee meeting, and it was also alerted the driver behaviour that we're talking about, vehicles being driven out of the 30 k's or 50 k's, and alerting the police around that as well, because it's actually a policing issue as much as it is a driver, and suitable space for cyclists and walks. So just want that to be mindful.
Thanks. Okay. Time's up, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now, our next deputation is from Jill Hobbs regarding a baton.
Thank you for giving me the time, and it's just me. Unless anybody else plays baton sitting here, well, I have one person who I introduced to baton. The history for my request is when Amberley absolutely was instituted, we asked the community various things that they would like to see in the community. And I put down baton. A baton piste, a baton court, baton terrain, it doesn't really matter. And it appears that I'm probably the only person that would like one. So I go to Christchurch. I travel to play baton in Christchurch, various community groups I play with in the reserves and domains there. There's quite a few in Christchurch. There's one in Rangiora now, it's relatively new. But there isn't one in Amberley. And my friends there say to me, well, you know, have you got one in Amberley? We could come to you. And I said, oh yeah, great, make a day of it. Come to the market, go to the various eating places, we'll play pétanque and it would be good. So it's quite personal, but if there isn't a court in an area, then the community can't use it. So I can't spread the word. Then I came to the meeting where the village green, the portioning out areas of the village green, and I put in there a pétanque court, and some of the councillors said, oh, that's nice, and we'd like to play, but no, because they can't, because we haven't got one. And I then decided, well, along with Councillor Weiss, to look at areas where we could go. And you should have had some information about where I thought, which is great. And Seadown Crescent, we knew was going to be perhaps targeted for other things. The village green, perhaps not, because of all the other things that were going to go on there. And the domain to me is very large, and there's lots of areas that just for people to walk on. So at the top of the domain, if you can tell from the map, at the end of Douglas Road before the new housing estate, there's a gate there onto the domain. It's the top, and it's near the path where the dogs can be walked. It's near there. And there were 3 plans submitted. It really doesn't matter which way the court goes, but we left sufficient room should anything else needed to be done at some time during the year. Enough room for the people who have to maintain, well, the council maintain the hedging, for the lawn mower, the ride-on to be done. So each of the plans, very similar area, picnic table for people to just put their boule on in the boxes, even have a picnic, far enough away from the large oak tree so that no branches can fall on anybody playing. And it would be an area of 12 by 6. And we have costed out. Now, there was one cost from Amberley Hire and one cost from YMAP Contracting. And they've come up with a figure of 4,080 to put that in. And ADRA, should we be given permission if the area is suitable, ADRA have promised us 2,000 of that. I have approached the Lions. They want a little further information from the council, but they haven't said no. And I also believe that the community board operate a contestable fund. So I'm seeking some money from there to create it. It is really for the community. It's not a club. People would have their own boule. You know, you only need one set of boule and 4 people can play. Young, old, very social, very interesting. You start off playing pétanque, you go for somewhere to eat or a coffee or whatever. Like the men's shed, it's a need for some people, socialisation, gentle exercise, all stuff like that, and not a great cost. Upkeep, no. If it's laid properly in the start, yes, there would be wind-blown weeds. The players would pull those out, end of. Yes, dogs could walk over it. Forgive me, they could crap on it, but let's hope that people will pick that up. Certainly I would if I went to play and there was some. Children may go on, ride the bikes, do wheelies, but, you know, I'm a committed player, so I would take my rake and smooth it out. So I just think it would be a great thing for Amberley, in addition to the other things that the board have sanctioned, the basketball and the, well, I call it discus golf. I think it's disc golf. I think that's the proper name. Just another community thing. And I think it means that people stay in Amberley. I wouldn't be going to Christchurch and spending my money in Christchurch if we had one in Amberley. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Any questions from anyone?
So Jill, do you have any information on what possible use might be in terms of numbers or any sort of feedback or anything on that? Or
Well, I go and I've got 8 rule, so 4 people could come with me. Okay, should I go and then other people come, as any social event, you say, okay, well, we've been playing half an hour, you come on and play. They just roll up, just like children roll up to the playground, you know, so it's whoever's there. It's not first come, first served, but it's a social thing.
And the site you've suggested, because I know Seadown Crescent on the reserve management plan had talked about both a food garden and the Bannerton Court as well, but you don't feel that there'll be enough room for both.
Well, I can't say
Seadown Crescent.
I can't say what the gardening would require, but that's why we looked at other places as well, because I had heard that they were looking at that as a potential. Also Chamberlain Park, and the grass area in Chamberlain Park. Another plus at the reserve, there are toilets there. Yes, a little far away, but there are toilets where Seadown Crescent doesn't have any. And Chamberlain Park, I don't know if it does, but also the grassed area, maybe the children would want to play there on, you know, bigger games and stuff. So we just thought that the domain at the top end was perhaps one of the sites, but anybody suggests anywhere else on the domain, I'm happy.
I note in the quote, it's got a number of different sort of aggregates and whatever. So what does it look like? Is it the top layer crushed limestone? Does it?
Yes, it's called called pea gravel with the crusher dust. Have you the photos?
Yeah, I've got them here.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a greyish colour.
Yeah, well, yes, it starts off beigey colour, depends which crusher dust you get, but eventually it turns grey.
So, Mr. Chair, just a supplementary question, and you're putting the application through as an individual, not as a group, it's just coming.
No, there is no group, please join me, then we can have a group. No, there is no group, and it's not a club. Whether a club would develop from it, perhaps, but it isn't a club, it's just for community use.
And so, Jill, this is the first time that you've approached, you know.
First time I've produced the community board, but obviously I put something in for the village green.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and Amberley, absolutely.
Yes.
That's gone by the by now, so my third time looking maybe.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation, Jill. And our final deputation for this evening, Amberley Beach Campground and Robert Portman. Welcome to the table, Robert. Thank you. And we have some material from you, the proposal from Penny.
Correct, yeah. And then it's just the email. First and foremost, I certainly have been a busy night, so I appreciate squeezing me in. There are 2 circumstances that we wanted to bring to the committee's attention. The first issue is the deterioration of the grounds down at the campground down by the beach. Some time ago, I guess the council decided here or somewhere else to install a barrier as an arm and to remove the goodwill scheme. Essentially, people would come in and put cash into the containers. Essentially, what's happened is we've noticed a substantial change to the campground area, different feel. Certainly, there are people who have lived in the area substantially longer than me. But I recall when I was first coming here, before I bought a property down at the beach, the campgrounds on long weekends tended to be full of young people, kids, bikes, the older people, a great bunch of people who'd come in and it would fill the area, and it certainly had a wonderful feel. Since the barriers have been installed, we've raised a number of times with the council staff and looked very accommodating, very helpful. No disrespect to council staff or the committee, just an issue that needs to be resolved. Essentially, when Penny came in, they put in a tag-based system that appears that a lot of people weren't aware of how the functioning and how it operated. So you'd come in, if you're a tramper or a traveller, you would come in, try to get into the gate. You'd figure out that there was a sign that was somewhere back. It's very, very poorly lit. There's, you've been down to the beach. If you can get one, maybe 2 bars on a good day, you're very lucky. To be able to use the Penny or the tag, KiwiCard tag, you need to be on the internet to facilitate it, pay on it, and then if you haven't used it, you need to be able to see where to figure it out how to then access the property. What we noticed was people just weren't able to do it. We had a lot of freedom camping, motorhomes, caravans, people of all sorts, tents. Just it was a problem where they would just make their way through the property. So, and when we asked, that was the issue. They just didn't know how to access either side. As the process has gone on, and we've gone through the lack of signage, people are now tending to, there's been some resort to some, I guess, vandalism. Those barriers have been removed, and the tag system appears to be damaged. Look, there's no excuse for the behaviour, but the reality is that's what's occurred, and it's going to come at a cost to the community and obviously the council as a whole. The issue that we have is that the barriers are a barrier to entry, and we've noticed when I sat here, we noticed funds were dwindling, becoming very small. We have an NZMCA site just down for us at the golf club. It's a good facility. It's an app-based system like I use when I travel with them. It's $5 per person to go in, and you've got other facilities there that you're entitled to use. And in fact, as I understand, the golf course, if you pay for golf, also allow you to come in. We see multiple amounts of NZMCA users going down there. Would they ever use the campgrounds? I don't know. I saw when I was being down there previously, lots of NZMCA members there, because people like to park in groups. It's a security, I think, of the feeling. The issue for us is that I think the word's got out. If you look on a number of sites, especially if you look on the Facebook pages, NZMCA, people talk about the difficulty in entering the site. They talk about the rundown nature of it. There's a shower there, but it's a cold shower. I think I was with Dan, and when we were down there looking around not so long ago, and I wasn't aware, but there's a door that's just you can hang a solar powered shower if you're so inclined. So the facilities are very run down, and the grounds are not upkept, and the area just itself is not particularly inviting. And so I think the lack of lighting also the area creates some security issues for people. But where we are right now, we have a situation where there is no system for anybody to pay. That's probably been like that for about 10 weeks, maybe longer, on the furthest away site. So the only funding that would be receiving is through power or connection. So we really need to look at fixing that. I used to be on the chairperson down at the EBRA, and so my number is stored. So I've been getting a number of phone calls asking whether we would approve the funding to be replaced. Obviously, I took that back to the committee, and we don't know. We have no idea what that means. And so what we'd like to do is to have we enjoy our collaborative approach with council and enjoy the approach in terms of keeping the area going. But what it means is that with that delay, we're probably now the best part of 3 months where people are just coming and going of all nature, and we need to really resolve it where, say, council staff have the skills and knowledge to be able to make those things happen. And so we'd like to see that proceed. A couple of options we have, I think, there is either putting the barriers back in. At the end of the day, that's one issue, but some lighting is essential and some signage. But my view would be almost having the honesty system back installed may well be the way to go. But I understand that it comes at a disadvantage. Someone's going to come and collect the cash, bank it, and so forth. So I accept that there are some challenges that we have. So, but right now we're losing funds, and we're into summer, and we'd like to see it bounce back and restore a good reputation. The second thing is, if I could leave that with you, and we may come back to this part of the questions. Essentially, we've received a proposal from Penny about essentially taking over the management of the campground. You'll see as part of the proposal there's a number of options from a top wish list right down. That would remove some of the funding challenges around money coming in, because there'd be a management on site to be able to facilitate entry, collection of funds. I suspect we would be able to develop a more user-friendly system where it would just be someone ushering in, collecting the funds, or having a better system for collecting those funds. The question, just like everybody you've seen tonight, is funding and how that comes about. One of the things that I would like to submit to the committee is that there's a couple of problems that need to be resolved later down the road, but the campground, where it is one of the highest charging in the area, it's right up there for a night stay. And we think that that's probably reasonable if the facilities are at a level where people can pay for a hot shower. That you'll see the proposal allows for not long-term stays, but people who could come with their family over a weekend and stay in. It's almost like my reference point is it's a tiny home. So that families could stay longer weekends in there without the need to purchase caravans, motorhomes, or large tents, and they would have the ability to stay on site. The issue really then is where will that funding come from? Look, my view would be that it's not a new concept. There may be some ability to debt fund. The beauty of that situation is that I think if that campground is a place where people want to come back to, you've got the beach, you've got the walking areas, we've just heard here the trail. Look, the reality of the situation is that whilst it may be debt funded, the ability to recoup or recover those funds if the campground gets back to its full use. I know when we look at years ago, I looked at the funds some 6 years ago, I think it was bringing in about 55,000 per annum. So a relatively quick return of those funds that may be spent to get the lowest level of proposal. So that's probably my opening, other than to say we are looking for a return to the campground of days of old. I think it's achievable. I think it brings value to the community, brings value to the area. And there's no reason why people from Christchurch and Amberley wouldn't want to use it, and those people out. Motorhome and caravan users are becoming quite large. So I think it's a good place to stop. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, Robert. Just to clarify, is the south part of it working or not? Or are both?
There's no
both decommissioned.
So yeah, so I received a phone call and it was Labour weekend, and the tags weren't working at all, and so there was a concern that without the tag working, someone might get stuck, and we were asked what we should do. Look, I'll be honest with you, I push paper for a living. I had no idea, so I just suggested, couldn't we remove all the barriers? And so that's what happened. Council came down and removed the barriers because there was no way of making it up and down.
So leading up to that point, was there any point at which either one end or the other was working and one not? Or
yeah, just the south end was working intermittently, as my understanding.
Yeah.
And the other barrier had been removed for about, I think I'd made a phone call about, it was about 4 or 5 months ago, and highlighted that it had been just vandalised.
Right. You know, the information we've got here from Penny is a lot of capital cost and a lot of their suggestions.
Agreed. the capital cost is a reality. From my perspective, where do you get money from? And I accept that there's no magic pool. The issue though is there a recoverable arm? And so the ability to bring people in and stay and have it being managed by somebody else means that they do bear the costs of any probably upkeep and so forth that I talked about.
So this is September 25. So is this the first time we've seen?
This is the first time you've seen this. He came to ABRA and presented a suggestion, because we've got, I mean, as we see it, we've got a number of factors. One, we get someone who can live on site. That seems difficult at the moment. We put it out there, we haven't had a lot of responses. Or have someone manage it or keep it in its current condition.
Okay, through the chair, just a couple of quick questions. One is, you mentioned you felt the biggest problem was internet access down there, hampering the ability of people to use the service. But then you mentioned that the golf course uses an app system that people use. Do they not have the same problem?
I think when you go on to NZMTA, if you go there and you stay, the minute you drive away, you've still got access to the app, and you just go in and you pay. So I mean, we've got, like when we're travelling, we might go to a lot of destinations that don't have it. So once you're on the app, you can be in some place for 7 days and then leave and transfer the money pretty quickly.
Excuse me. Just the other question was the service provider that you mentioned that could take over the running of the. Yes. What do you end up with after they've taken the cut?
What percentage? There's nothing in the proposal.
Because I imagine it'd be quite steep, and you end up with literally nothing. So the cost of repaying any capital investment on any time accounts.
I 100% agree. I think those are the details that would need to be ironed out. I guess we come here today with a number of factors. One we've got to put a proposal. We've got to do something because the status quo is not working. So we're open to ideas and suggestions, or we're happy to come back with different alternatives. But what I would say is a percentage of what we're getting at the moment, which is nothing, is better than the current situation. That would be my only comment.
Just that 55 grand that it was bringing in, was that the voluntary system, or was that?
Yeah, it was a goodwill system that that we had there. I guess the only factors that we're not considering is with the change of time. Banking the money is, I guess. Look, I don't think that it would be too difficult to have somebody within our community that we believe that we could trust that would be able to go and do that and collect it, whether they have the authority to bank it. It's not that person's money, but I'm sure the community would get together. But the honesty system had method.
Thank you, Robert. Just to provide some context of what might happen in other communities as well. The community that I live in, Waikarie Camping Ground, has had over its journey, voluntary custodian lives on site for a period of time, collects the money, and in general terms it works quite well. So there is some relatively good examples within our district that talks about that volunteer. I mean, we've heard heaps about volunteerism, so that's probably worthy of another look at it.
Yeah, the custodial, having someone on site where we hypothetically provide them with free electricity or something like that was one issue. The concern just with that is the change in times. You don't want someone to be in a situation where they feel the obligation to bail someone up or talk about it. So having some sort of backup system security may be an option. But yeah, those are the options that we have available. But it doesn't solve some of the issues around the actual deterioration of the site. Is the only comment that I'd make. But that's probably a funding / money coming in concept one way or the other. Yeah.
I think the comment about 5 or 6 years ago, 55 grand or whatever coming in, there actually was an unofficial custodian who looked after.
Correct, there was, yes,
a local resident. So it did have that area of management, if you like, sitting on.
Yeah, I agree. It was a combined effort. Yes.
Okay, just a quick question. So Robert, the internet connection down there, is it actually good enough that you can log on to the internet at all, or is it?
It sometimes depends how you hold your tongue, without being cheeky. It's good enough if you were going to send texts, send a text message, to log on to ask someone to log into an internet onto the web page with Penny. You'd probably give up, with all due respect. It would take some time.
So the previous Honesty Box system, did people get a receipt or anything out of it? What payment do they display, a receipt or something?
It was just a Pauline's she would tell you, but when I was there, it was just they pulled it and they dropped it in. There was like some envelopes that people put in, and I think some people didn't even use envelopes. Yeah.
Okay. Last question from Pauline.
Yeah, thanks very much. Couple of questions actually, if that's okay, Mr. Chair. So you mentioned in deputation in regards to the fees. So I'm aware that there was an increase to the fees. Well, there has been over the last few subsequent years. And you made that comparison with the NZMCA site down, just down the road at the golf club. So just in the imminent future, because camping season is here, what is it that you think would help to move forward at this point in time? So is it about a reduction to fees and a return to the Honesty Box system in the interim while other proposals are considered? Is that what we're asking for tonight?
I think we need to see a reduction in the fees with the environment that it's at. And the competition that we have down there. I mean, most people are probably, if there's 3 people in a motorhome or a caravan, they're paying $15 for the NZMCA. So I think it's in that sort of scope. There's no hot shower. The facilities are adequate. There's no question about that. So there needs to be a reduction, in my opinion. And I think we need to improve the system for collecting. And I think the easiest solution at the limited cost would be to have an honesty system that we can rely on to a degree, because the cost, I think, to put the tag system back up and be reliable is really not worth it, if I'm honest.
So just for absolute clarity, so tonight you're asking for a consideration and reduction in fees and a return to the Honesty Box system in the interim?
Yes, in the interim. For the summer season, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much all for your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, right. We'll now move on to confirming the minutes of our previous meeting. I'm on page 5 of the agenda, and I'll just go through them page by page for corrections and accuracy at this point. Page 5, page 6. There's one on page 6.
So there's 1.3, election of a community board chairperson. There just needs to be a wee tweak to that to make it accurately record what that's happened there. That should be moved Shire, seconded Jones, and that will cover it.
Yes,
completely.
Yes.
Rather than what we have here.
Yes, if I could just.
Because if you want to speak.
I recall that too. Yeah. I self-nominated. Oh, Hamish.
So I was the chair at this time.
Correct.
Jeff Shire self-nominated.
Right.
Hamish Trollope and Brett Jones both moved to second. I accept Hamish Trollope's seconding of Jeff's nomination.
So it should be Hamish.
So that's
okay, right. So it should be Shire and Trollope. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Thanks, Hamish. Okay, anything else on page 6? Page 7. Page 8, page 9, page 10. So will somebody move that we are incorrect 7 minutes subject to that one amendment? Okay, thank you. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Carried, thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes?
So, through Mr. Chair, there was, 1.6 allocation responsibilities to the board. We were going to talk to the, so that's not. There was the one about portfolios.
We've got that as an agenda item.
You haven't, have we?
Yeah, governance support for advisory groups. I think that's.
No. This was the system.
2.2.
This was the system which Hamner Springs have, where they allocate out portfolios. And there was a report there, and we let it lie. We're going to talk to Hamner Springs and come back and try and get a better.
Yes.
So we are going to
cover that as 2.2.
I'd like to cover that. That's fine. Okay. Right. Cool.
Any other matters arising? Okay. Thank you for that. We'll now move on to decision items. 2.1, government support to advisory groups. This is on page 11.
You're going to speak of this matter on behalf of Michelle.
Thank you very much, Hamish.
So this is a question about whether continuing governance support is provided to advisory groups by this board. So currently the South Ward is paying for governance support for the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group. The cost is around $3,600 per annum, and there is no other group in the South Ward that receives that same support. Noting that the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group is not a council committee; it's an advisory group under its own terms of reference. So this came about in 2016 when the previous Reserves Committee were disestablished and advisory groups were able to be set up. It's a volunteer group, and in 2017 that Reserves Advisory Group asked the Amberley Ward Committee for secretarial services to be provided. Originally that cost around $900. To cover their meetings, but the scope of the job has increased considerably over time, and of course the cost of providing those services has gone up. So we're now at $3,600 per annum. So this is a paper really recommending, the officer's recommendation is that the community board removes the support for the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group, but it is your decision. That's the officer recommendation.
Right, you've heard Hamish. Any comments from anyone? Anika?
I think because it's already in the long-term plan, whilst it's a low risk to the council, I think if we removed it, it would probably be more work for the council, because we might not get the groups giving us their minutes. We might not know what's going on. It's more pressure on these groups as well. So I think it should stay. That's my.
So, Mr. Chair, I know that the Amberley Reserve Group is the only one just getting this support, but it's different to the other groups around the district. It has a much wider and deeper scope of work than any of the others. It has Amberley Domain, it has the Village Green. And I recall when I was on the Board of Trustees at Leafield, we had a board member doing the minutes, but effectively took them out of the meeting. And that's why many boards of trustees engage an outside minute keeper to do that function, because then their members can fully participate. And if you get a volunteer doing it, the standard may be extremely variable. So this arrangement at the moment ensures a good standard. It gives a good link, a link back to the council. As Anika said, it's already there in the long-term plan. And I think it would be a bad step back. I think they do a difficult job, very busy, complex jobs, and they do it well, and I think they deserve that support. It's only $3,600. I think you would lose value actually if you took that away, so I am keen to see that remain, and I'm quite prepared to move a motion to that effect in due course.
Just sort of thinking here that, you know, James and Anika are on these groups as representatives. Surely that's a good enough exchange of information coming back through for us. And again, you know, to Kevin's point about getting that sort of support, I just sort of do wonder about the value. There are tools now for doing, you know, minutes just based off, you know, the conversations that go around a table. Some of those AI tools are getting pretty good for that. So there seem to be a few other opportunities for. So, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I guess I'm concerned about the precedents being set with providing the service to one group. It could become an expectation for other groups who very successfully operate in our community on the basis of volunteerism, and we've had some good examples of that tonight. And you know, we have that high capability of volunteers in our community. So I would actually support the recommendation as it's written. I think that the Amberley Reserves Advisory Committee does a fantastic job, and I think that they are well aware that it is in their best interest to report back to the South Ward Community Board, but it's also in the community's best interest. In regards to the funding, you'll note in the paper that it comes from the South Ward amenity rate, and in all honesty, we don't have a lot to spare in the South Ward. So yeah, I would actually support the recommendation as it's written here to remove that support at this stage.
I sit on the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group, and it's a good pathway for the many sports clubs that we have attached here in Amberley to get to actually see the front council without having to go through this committee. So yeah, I'm sort of, it's a good pathway for all those groups to reach out to council, because it comes through in our minutes for each meeting, and it's a driver for making sure the reserves maintained to a high standard.
I guess one of the things, the thing I see here is that we are talking about costs, cost to the ratepayer, you know, through the amenities account, and is it feasible for, you know, somebody to do that secretarial role from within the group, or to, you know, get somebody in independently?
Funding discussion.
Yeah, I mean, the clubs struggle as it is, and they are covering their costs. Netball tennis cover their costs of resurfacing, like, you know, everyone's fundraising all the time, so it just would be an extra cost. I sort of think it's a little bit of a contradiction, you know, with this board's been set up to be closer communication to our community, and by making us make this decision is kind of contradicting what we're supposed to be doing. Like, it's almost, oh, we're going to take this away from you, but we're supposed to be here to help you. I don't know, that's just how I feel with it.
I guess from my perspective, I'll just speak probably in support of Hamish and Pauline and their view, and I would support the recommendation as it is. I see the representation that's on there from the community board here is enough to feed that information back, and I agree with Hamish. I think it's enough to feed the information that we need back through those people that are sitting with.
Any further comments? So we will put the motion as it is, as it has been suggested, that the South Ward Community Board remove the support from council governance team to the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group. And just for clarity, we'll go for division on this. that is a show of hands. And I'll now put it, those in favour of the recommendation.
Chair, I think you need a second for that motion before you put it.
Oh,
You need to have
regarding
it seconded
division.
first. You need somebody to second it, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, yes, would somebody second the division? Thank you, Brett. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Oh, sorry, we're just doing the division, aren't we, at the moment, or?
Well, Mr. Chair, you're doing it by hands or by division?
We'll do it by show of hands, sorry. So all those in favour of the recommendation as it is, please show your hand. And against?
So the motion is lost by equality vote, I think, or
The
unless
chair.
you.
The chair votes in favour of the recommendation. So 4 to 3, and that means that it's withdrawn and secretary is. Tough decision.
So, Mr. Chair, just point of order, I had thought you were going to bring the urgent business forward and do that earlier so that these people could be
No,
dealt with and go.
We'll just take that in order.
Okay, that's fine, that's not a stop, that's quite often.
And just on your issue earlier raising that issue of our responsibilities, we will actually leave that. At the moment, there's a proposed meeting between council staff and this board and the Hammer one regarding responsibilities, etc. So I think we'll the point you raise is valid, but it will be discussed in the first quarter of next year. So not tonight, and I did make an error that it's not going to be included in that. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is South Board representation on community groups. We have a paper here prepared by April. Do you want to talk to that, Natasha?
Yes, so as outlined, the purpose of the report is to enable the Southport Community Board to consider the opportunities for the board's representation within other established groups in the ward. So on page 19 is a list there of the groups and also the representatives as well. To the officer's recommendation is that the Southport Community Board appoints representatives to local groups to establish and maintain relationships within the South Ward and formally notify each group of its appointed representative. So, is there any questions on that report and information obtained?
Okay, just for clarification, the way I see it is that the first 5 entities there, which are the entities that had a seat at the ward committee, I think we could look at it actually appointing delegates from this committee to those groups. And all of the other ones, I don't know that we actually need to do that. What we could do is assign people who are responsible, but not have necessarily the responsibility to actually attend the meetings. It may or may not happen. But so that absolutely on these first 5, then we do need to appoint delegates. In the other ones, the way I see that we could go, and maybe we could split this into 2, is that we send letters out to those organisations introducing ourselves saying that we're here, and if you have any issues, then feel free to come back to us, either through myself or Natasha as the governance advisor. So that's the sort of structure that I would see. Does anybody have any comments on that?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, I agree with the first 5. We need to appoint formal delegations, and those are public open meetings and people go along. The other ones, as you mentioned, actually quite often they're not really public open meetings, but I had thought that you might have assigned one contact person to them. They don't have to go to meetings or anything like that at all, but if they want to get hold of somebody board, they would get hold of that person. That's the other option.
So perhaps there are 3 categories. A second category is what you're suggesting, and then a third one is a more passive one, because it just might be more appropriate. So I'm happy to, look at identifying ones that you might feel are appropriate in that second category. And then, like, the final category, for example, the toy library, Friends of Huronui Library, whatever, we've got the numbers there. But if we actively go out and introduce ourselves and then say come back if you have any issues, then that would be the way to go. Okay. Happy with that, Kevin?
Yes.
The 3. Okay, so let's appoint people to those first 5, and Arag, we have both Anika and James. So do we appoint 2 or 1?
I always thought just 1. You only had 1 previous, Mr. Chair, you only had 1 previous representative from the reserve group on the old board committee, so I would have thought just 1.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 2 representatives here, so.
Not going to die in the ditch on it.
Chair, I just wonder if that's fair on those representatives. They're already members of that committee and they have a job to do at that committee. And I'm wondering whether you should appoint another member who's not on that committee to be the board contact.
Fair point.
Not actually appointing people to the committees, you're appointing somebody from this group to be the contact to those various committees.
I actually put my hand up as when I was on the AREC that I would be the contact for the South. That was part of my campaign.
Okay, so James for that one, and obviously, you're input, Anika, it's valuable as well. Okay, Amberley District Residents Association, Hamish and Pauline. Yeah, Hamish, you're actually on that, are you?
I have close associations with them, I'm not a as far as I know.
The ADRA have a clause in their constitution that precludes any elected member from voting. So the elected member who attends is precluded from voting. So that might just add some clarity as well.
Okay. So we've got 3 names down here, Hamish and Pauline.
Can I just, I'm just thinking that we did receive some correspondence through our previous agenda from the Amberley District Residents Association.
Yes.
And they had a clear request, if I recall. I had a feeling that they'd asked for a community board member and a councillor.
Community board, yes, I did.
I just can't recall. It was.
Yeah, I can't recall
Just can I have a in the prior agenda for the 10th of December. Correspondence.
Yes. Working this through, I mean, what we're doing here is establishing a new pathway, you know, with a newly elected community board. And I think what the intention of this grouping was to make sure that the community board has a strong linkage to, you know, into the community, because that is absolutely the role that you play as community board members. And while I see this paper as a really good idea, I just wonder whether it just needs to be fleshed out a little bit more so that we don't end up just plugging names for name's sake. You know, I think maybe we just need to have a bit of a pause around and strategically make sure, because I think the intention is probably that that maybe by invitation you would attend those meetings, or that you actually do not need to be attending all of this raft of meeting every monthly meeting or such like, but actually you are there as a conduit to a community. If a community group had a concern or they wanted to navigate a council process, they might, you know, just have that conversation and get that information. So I'm just worried about putting a whole lot of people's names against an organisation that actually might be placing an expectation that isn't probably what we are considering is the right thing for the moment. So, because I'm also mindful, whilst the portfolio groupings that you might have a discussion with Hammer Springs with, that might be something separate again. So, you know, we don't want to overcook the, yeah. So I just wonder whether it might be a good idea to have, the intention is to make sure we have a good connection with our community, good, strong, robust connection with the community, and but maybe just plugging names to complete this paper may not achieve the correct outcome for tonight. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts. It just feels a wee bit unsettled.
Yeah. I did see it from you know, an elected member point of view that you know, Hamish did have the interest there, and that I felt was.
Andrew had requested some review anyway, so.
Yeah.
So Mr. Chair, speak. So having attended groups such as the Amberley Beach Residents Association and also Leafield Beach, and you've also had letters from ADRA and the village people as well. They've made quite clear that they would like to, in addition to the arrangement they used to have where they had a councillor, they also have a community board member come along to their meetings. They don't need to be everyone, but come along and attend those meetings. And that's been the feedback, and various people have indicated, yep, we are going to be dealing with that aspect. So I think that there's clearly that expectation from the groups that they will have a community board member allocated out to them who would attend the meetings in the same manner as the council's done. So I think there's quite about and so forth. That's not that urgent. I really think we should be, and we can deal with the issue of community board reps to those residents groups.
Okay. So I'm happy to, in the first instance, assign Hamish to Pepper. Yeah, I think that was sort of getting around there. And Kevin, is what you were saying that for Leafield Beach residents and Amberley Beach residents.
I attend those at the moment. I go to every one of them.
Yes, I
but that doesn't mean I need to be the community board. I wear my Coast Care hat. So I have many hats. But I'm quite happy to do both of them if it's so the community.
Yeah, it's probably not necessary to have more people.
I think it's an overkill, quite frankly.
Yeah, and you are a conduit as REC, even though you've got a number of hats on.
Yeah. So I'm quite happy to take those two under my belt.
Yeah. And Pauline, just on your involvement in all of these things, you know, you've been there as a councillor. in a way, I'd sort of like to keep that a bit separate from.
Yes, I think so.
I think that's.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think that, Keaton's articulated it quite well. There has been clear, very, very clear statements from a number of these groups that it is their expectation that they would have a community building and a councillor, and that their elected members will be synced. So yeah, I'm happy to sit back and let the community board members fill those spaces, and I'll attend in a councillor role where necessary.
Okay, and Leafield Beach Community Centre, we did get a letter from Joe Castle regarding that.
So that's Leafield Village.
So, Mr. Chair, the Leafield Village Community Centre, we haven't appointed anybody to them at the moment.
No, I'm just asking around now.
So I think Anika had flashed back to Joe at one stage and said, I'd be happy to attend.
Yeah, I said I've got a valid voice, and I can, it's fine.
So you're happy with that, Leafield Village? Yeah. Okay, that's great. Now, in terms of the other ones, and perhaps those two categories, Amberley NZ, Hamish, you're happy with that relationship?
Yeah.
Amberley, absolutely. I'm happy to put my name there. Okay, I know those people well, and I followed that process really closely. And in fact, when things settle down a little bit, there's some background information that they have that will be quite useful for us when we get some time. North Pegasus Bay Coast Care.
Yep.
Kevin. Malcolm Hall, Pauline, I believe.
Probably can't get rid of me out of that one.
Yeah. Amberley Lions Club, I'm happy with that. District Community Vehicle Trust, happy with that. RSA.
Yep, happy with that.
Kevin. Yeah. Combined Courts Committee. Friendship Club. So that's one that I think a letter of introduction is probably enough.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay. And same for the Welcome Club and Amberley Community Care. I put my name beside that. And the reason I say that is that it's sort of a sister trust to the Vehicle Trust. The Vehicle Trust and Amberley Community Care and St John all sort of work in a similar related space, and we've got good relationships there. So I'm happy with that. Men's Shed.
I would be very keen to
Thanks, Hamish. Toy Library, that's one of the more generic ones. Okay. Friends of Huronui Library. Hamish, you got your name good. Happy with that. Biodiversity Trust.
I'm not quite sure how to play that actually.
You're real close to.
Yes, I go to most of them. Yes.
Yeah. So do you both want to be involved in that, or just?
Yeah, anyway, I think so. Yeah.
Let's choose one. Okay. Dog Park Working Group. Now, Pauline, you're on that.
I am, yes.
In your opinion, do we need another?
In my opinion, we don't at this point in time. I suspect that we would be hearing from that group with some potential proposals in February, and if at that point you felt that you needed someone else, we could make that appointment then. I feel like the purpose of that was really to tie together the staff and the residents wanting a dog park and someone from Southwood, and I feel like it's currently functioning well. And to put in another representative might be overkill.
Just ask the question.
Yeah. At this point anyway, but there may come a time.
The Community Garden Working Group, we'll be talking about that a bit later, but you have been involved with.
Yeah.
Happy to leave that one.
Yeah.
And Amberley Pool Subcommittee.
Do you know, we could probably take that one off, to be honest. It was really in the early stages of the new pool opening, it was kind of a sounding board, really for the managerial staff, really. I don't think there's any necessity for that.
Delete that one. Okay, that's great. Thanks very much, everybody, on that. So we need some communications and letters, Natasha, so maybe just you and I can work on that. And if we need some points of contact, we'll come back to. Okay, so let's say.
So do we need to know this?
Yes, I'm just trying to work that out, actually.
Chair, do you need a formal motion for those 5 appointments?
Yeah. Here we go. Yes, page 16, the officer recommendation is that the Southall Community Board appoint representatives to local groups to establish and maintain. So what we can do is appoint the representatives as per the redo this sheet, you know. So that the Southall Community Board appoint representatives to local groups as per the attached schedule or whatever the appropriate word is.
Or I could list
Oh, yes.
all the representatives within that resolution, if you wish.
Whatever's the easiest way for you.
Mr. Chair, there's a distinction between the 5 residence groups and what we're doing in terms of appointing somebody the board representative here, and with the other ones to simply be a contact point. I think this is a distinction.
Yes, yes, that's a good point. Yeah.
So we could appoint the 5.
5, yes.
And then there could be another resolution for the letters to be sent to
Yes,
those 1,
yes,
2,
yes.
3 groups. So the Friendship Club, the Welcome Club, and also the Toy Library.
Yes.
And the
And
others.
so it'll be letters of introduction to yes, that second group, and then just a general one to the third group. So if we do the first resolution, appoint representatives to the 5 local groups, and if you just those to establish and maintain relationships and formally notify each group. So here we're just talking about the 5. So all those in favour. Oh, and move it, please. Kevin, thank you. Hamish, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay. And then we have another recommendation that the Southall Community Board like contact representatives or representatives responsible for communication with the subset there of those that are not going to get elected.
Was at the bottom, was at the last.
So that's all the ones. So all the ones who are just going to get a letter will be a third one. The other ones will have a person assigned. Okay, everybody follow that? Right, someone like to move that? Nika, thank you. James, all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. And the third one is that the South Ward will send a letter of introduction to all of those people who we read.
The 3,
Yeah.
the Friendship Club, Welcome Club, and the Toy Library.
Okay, could somebody move that please? Yeah, thanks, Brett. Yeah, Kevin, thank you. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, thanks very much, Jamie. Now we move on to a few, sorry.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm just conscious of the time, it's almost 9 o'clock. Could we possibly move to the urgent business now? We have to talk about the fee waivers and we've got to do the financial report. I'd like to move that we now move to urgent business and these people can listen and we can go home, right? We don't want them here at 10 o'clock at night.
The general feeling, was that a seconder?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favour? Say aye. Show of hands, yes. Okay, carried. Right, so we'll move to the urgent business and the first proposal is for the first presentation was the men's shed. Yeah, a lot of obviously background history on this, but it from the presentation it seemed that time is of the essence here, and the prime thing on the table is actually temporary accommodation which is proposed in the shed down at Linfield Beach. Is that understand? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, Hamish, I just wondered, are you familiar with that shed? And
no, I'm not. Yeah, probably the most.
I'm very familiar with it. But Mr. Chair, I do have a notice of motion. I'm not going to do a motion to put in the government to but just by way of background, I think one of the few things I remember from university lectures on costs and decision making was the stage at which you walked away from a decision, and one of the criteria that you had to take into account was not get too tight. The money and time that spent on it beforehand, you just had to bite the bullet and walk away. And I think we got to that point that for various reasons, it was the wrong choice. And I think we now have to try and do something better. So I have a motion, which is on the flash drive there if Natasha wanted to load it up, but you may have some more discussion on that topic yet, so I'll leave it to the
Natasha has just given me a paper that send out, we'll give to everybody regarding the proposal. So if we can set some down that side. There you go. And Hamish.
So who is Glenda Clark?
And if you wanted to see that email.
So Mr. Chair, I might comment. I don't know who Glenda Clark is. This has just been property amenities. I'm aware that reading the Reserves Act and the leasing issues, the men's shed didn't exactly fit the criteria in the Reserves Act, but I know that staff did speak to the Department of Conservation about it, and they were happy with it, and that's the reason why they have been given a lease on that site. So I'm not quite sure what this relates to.
Can you just give us a summary of that, Natasha, in a position to do that?
but certainly, as I say, so who is Glenda Clark? Team leader property amenities. So I mean, if staff had a concern about the fact that men shed didn't exactly fit the normal lease requirements under reserves, that why has the council given them a lease? They have done it. They have done it, signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, I understand that conflict.
And as I say, I don't know who the staff would, but they have, knowing that.
Hamish, sorry, you haven't seen it well. There's a report from Glenda Clark stating that the proposed men's shed lease of a reserve is not in alignment with the reserves.
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah. And yet that first lease was given on the BMX.
It's been given.
Sorry, it has.
Yep, that lease has been given, yes.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm concerned also this is dated the 4th of December. And today is the 10th. So it's just been coming out of the blue in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah. So anyway, I think
we'll take on board and note.
Yeah, I think we understand the difficulty and the long-term nature of actually getting a new site, and we're looking at this moment at the temporary site.
Well, I have a motion, Mr. Chair, which I'd like to put. I think it covers the whole ambit of where we are. I know that the normal process with deputations is we do not make a decision. So this motion will basically set a criteria for moving forward and getting a report back and allowing some urgent action in respect to the green shed.
Okay.
So Natasha, I've given it to you there, but if you want to bring it up, it's on the thing there. So basically, I'll just read it. I move that the board receives the presentation from the Amberley men's shed and expresses expresses its appreciation for the significant contribution the men's shed makes towards social cohesion and wellbeing in the South Ward. That it notes the need for the men's shed to vacate its current accommodation by 31 December. The cost difficulties associated with building on the current site leased to the council behind the BMX track, and the wish of the men's shed to review 2 other sites in the domain as longer term accommodation solutions, and also the synergies from central Amberley location. Possible temporary accommodation option of using the green shed behind the community centre at Leaford Beach for the men's shed until longer term accommodation can be obtained. And that the board forms a working party consisting of 2 representatives of the men's shed, 2 from the South Ward Community Board, 1 representative from the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group, inspect the Amberley Domain, and appropriate staff to review the feasibility of using the 2 suggested Amberley Domain sites for longer term accommodation, explore the use of the green shed at Leaford Beach with shorter term accommodation, investigate any other possible accommodation options using council property. The working party to report back either February or March community board meeting. I know February is pretty unlikely, but it flows in there. In respect to the use of the green shed at Leaford Beach, the working party investigates this as a matter of urgency. And in the event a decision on the use of the green shed is required or possible before the board meeting of 11th February, the board delegates to a subcommittee consisting of the board chair and nominee, any other 2 board members who may be available, the power to receive information, make a decision on the use of the green shed, such as decision to report it back to subsequent board meeting. And so I move that, Mr. Chair.
There's quite a few files in that USB, so I'm not quite sure which one we want to be shared.
Sorry?
There's quite a few
Can't
files.
tell which file it is.
When I looked at 4, it was blank and only 2 on it. And now it's done the dirty. I think this one here, draft resolution. This one, yep. Yeah.
We'll just try.
Yep, that's,
It would be highly unlikely to have a resolution of that detail.
Exactly.
That's it's more city council, CDHP, the corporate list, rather than having extra council.
Yeah.
I think it's complete, so.
It might set a record if we,
No, Mr. Chair, there's bigger ones in there, that's part of the course.
Yes, but, okay. Sorry, hang
I can second that.
Okay, well, let's just go through so everybody can see. Memories a little bit.
Is
Pauline?
it possible to have a copy, because that's a lot, and when we're scrolling on a screen, that, yeah, we haven't had a chance to consider all of these points. Can we print a copy if we're gonna be considering? If we've now got it on the table,
Yeah, if you just want to adjourn for a couple of minutes, we'll print out some copies.
thank you, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. So how far down does that go?
So just on the second page, so just.
About 1 full page.
Yeah, it's 1 page.
Okay, just a good idea, Pauline.
Can you go ahead and
I could, so I'm gonna stop share and I'll go and I'll print.
adjourn the meeting, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
There's a hard-
so we'll adjourn
hard
the
copy
meeting.
there if someone's to borrow it.
we'll move out of June back into the meeting. Okay, so Kevin has provided this move. He's now this resolution. He's now
It's been seconded.
removed.
Well, if I am happy to remove them if people so wish.
Well, look, I'm happy to leave it there. Okay, so you'll move
Leave it
the
there.
resolution.
I've moved it as it is, it's been seconded as is, so we'll leave it.
And Hamish has seconded.
Okay.
Okay, now I'd like to ask all those who are for the motion to.
Mr. Chair, so I have the right to speak to it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it's just, as I say, I think it's explanatory. The big issue is to try and get something done on the green shed. As we mentioned, it has not been used for 30 odd years. It would provide a temporary home for them. It needs cleaning out, needs repair work. So it's a question of getting together with council staff and just working out and seeing what we can do. There are Building Act issues, there will be property issues in terms of the fact it is on a recreation reserve and so forth, but it is about the only prospect, the only option around the place that could be used. Now, I talked briefly to, I think it's Cameron Ashworth, and he made a comment about community consultation. So the men shed are quite clear on the fact that they would want to consult with the beach community. So that would be another aspect that we could sort out as well in terms of how formal that consultation needs to be. So that's all I've got to say, Mr. Chair. If it needs to be, I'll reserve the right to reply.
I've asked those in, who are for the motion to talk. Anybody want to speak? Against the motion and speak? Or like to speak anyway?
Like to
Pauline?
speak, I guess, I would just, as a matter of process, just feels like need to be sure that everyone sitting around the table understands that there is a motion on the table, and should this motion fail, then process doesn't allow us to move anything that is very similar and like. I guess I'm a little bit concerned that we, good decisions come from good information, and it feels like we don't have all the information in front of us at this point in time to make a fully informed decision. And I would hate for us to, for the resolution, for the motion to fail, and for us to be hamstrung by not being able to then come back to it. So I'm not sure if we can get some advice on what our potential options are before the motion is put.
I'm so quite in favour of taking the imperfect step. I think, getting this resolution passed is important. It may be a really good step. If it's imperfect step, it still moves us forward and moves the issue into a better place.
Anybody else? Any comments? Okay, my take on this is that we have received a lot of information tonight. And as Pauline has indicated, there's a lot of information here, and it's very, very difficult to say that we have used the full discursive process to analyse the whole situation. The nub of it is that we're proposing for the green shed to be used down there. The normal process would be to have a paper brought back to the council here with the suggestions, with the discussions, with any risks that might be associated, brought forward, and if it, there would have to be a lease associated with it. And so I would prefer to actually put it back to the executive for a paper to come to our next meeting, if that is possible, to specifically look at the green shed. We've got a lot of other stuff that's been ongoing here for a long time. And so I am not in support of the proposal as it stands. I believe that we are not giving due process to this decision of using the green shed. I think there's a lot more work to do.
So I'll exercise my right to reply. Does anybody else wish to speak on the topic? And I'll exercise my right to reply. So, Mr. Chair, we're not making a decision. We're asking for a report to come back, which will involve staff, Shed, the community board. So we're not making a decision. There are a whole host of issues still to be worked through, and this is a process to allow those to be worked through in a consultative fashion, so we're all around the same table together. We're not getting another dog park 5-year scenario. It allows us to move promptly on it, and we are not making a decision. We are asking you to get reports back involving staff and the other parties and come back to us. So we're not making a decision tonight. We are asking to get information back, and we have a process outlined where we get around the table at a working party, the same as the dog park, and get a report to come back. So we are not making any decisions tonight. We are asking for information. We're starting a process in play. I don't know what the delay, I think you're just delaying it until February when you could be getting some process and progress on the green shed in the short term. It may not be possible to do anything in the short term, but we do need to have a round the table discussion and see whether we can do anything. So, I mean, I've made a comment there, in the event a decision is required or is possible, it may not be possible. So I think we've covered all the options. If we can do something quickly, we have a process, but we get something started. I mean, the other domain ones, the timetable, and that is, I don't think we'll be able to look at them this year, but we could have a look at the green shed. You really just need around the table, working party with the appropriate staff and go through the issues and say, well, can we do anything as the short term? Are there building implications? Do the lease requirements include any quick action on it? So what's the pathway? So we are getting together and doing the things that you've spoken about there and starting now. So there would be paper come back in due course, but we're not making any decisions tonight. Quite frankly, so that's all. Thank you.
It was more just a short comment as opposed to any question or anything like that at this stage. It's perhaps a little disappointing that information's just arrived here, and perhaps if it had arrived earlier, information that we just received now, we would have been in the position to make a decision. So I'd just like it to, I guess, stated in the minutes that I feel a little bit disappointed that that information came in.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I just want to draw attention to point number 5, which is asking us to give the power to receive information and make a decision on the use of the green shed to a subcommittee. And I think that it's a very dangerous position to put ourselves in, given that we don't have any information on that facility or the health and safety around that at this point in time.
So, I mean, if
I'm concerned that events should be left hanging. I would store your tools, even if there's not a clause like this in there to actually get something in place with some urgency. So So definitely supportive of number 5.
So you could insert, and amenable to this, you could insert something there along the lines of taking into account advice from the CEO.
Which clause are you talking about?
The number 5. To delegate to subcommittee, and we've done this before. We have delegated. I remember delegating in respect to Councillor McLean and the rock procurement for the co-I there, that we delegated authority to a working group there to do what they wish to do with that information, and they worked away on that. So it's not unknown at all. But I mean, I'm happy to insert something on there, taking into account advice of senior staff or advice of the CEO. Felt better about that. Perhaps Mr. Selby would comment.
You have a motion on the table. I'm not quite sure if you were suggesting an amendment to that motion.
Yes, that would be.
So that would have to be formally moved as an amendment to and passed before you could return to the substantive motion.
Correct. We haven't amended this yet, but
no, but I mean, I'm unclear as to whether that was what you were intending or not. So
I was just putting out feelers. So I don't want to delay things. I think I mean, just check with Mr. Dolly. Can I move that can I move amendment to my own motion formally?
yes, you can move an amendment to your own motion.
Okay, right. So I'll move strike out clause number 5.
Chair, can I just probably just try and clarify my own thoughts and yes, what this discussion on the back of the delegation this evening is to find temporary accommodation. In the meantime, before more exploratory information might come to the fore, you know, is there another location, how it's that affordable, and the strengths or the advantages and disadvantages of A over B or whatever. And I wonder whether, in consideration of what we heard at 7 o'clock this evening, that actually, if I look at C, that possible temporary accommodation option of the green shed behind the community centre at Leadfield, till longer term accommodation can be obtained. If that is what this committee is trying to achieve tonight, then perhaps a formal request that council officers come back with a paper that might consider the context of what C says, you know, like a working group to look at options or whatever. I don't know whether that's workable or not, but I'm just trying to help sort of move things forward. Yeah.
So potentially there's a way to shortcut that in this group and simply instruct the chief executive to work with the main shed to explore use of the green shed. There you go.
Yeah, I think that needs to be. So just really just try and think about what we're trying to achieve tonight, and that is temporary accommodation.
Correct.
Is the first, and then there'll be a whole lot of steps that will follow. And if we can do that, then that will manage that process. But what I've heard tonight is these good people are looking for a temporary home until other options may become available. What they are, I don't know, but that just gives a period of time for that to be managed and managed appropriately through the due process.
Good summary.
So, Mr. Chair, my amendment hasn't been seconded, so I'll move an amendment that we delete clause 5 and change it to that the meeting request the CEO to work with the men's shed to ascertain if the use.
Are you suggesting amending the whole lot of this?
No, just number 5, that's all.
Yeah, but what is being suggested is.
We still have the issues about looking at a longer term home, so we need to deal with that.
And that is.
This is a short-term problem.
This is just a short-term issue. We do need to deal with the longer term issues of looking at those other options on the reserve and any other ones like Amber Beach suggested as well. So number 5 is directed solely towards the green shed. And if we ask, as Mr. Dobby suggested, that we just instruct the CEO to work with the green shed to ascertain if a temporary shorter term use of the green shed can be obtained.
So just for clarification, your resolution stands except 5 is replaced.
4 stand, 5 is removed and closed.
Yeah, so for clarity, Mr. Rowe previously moved an amendment which failed for lack of a seconder. He's now moving another amendment and is looking for a seconder.
Correct. Yep, that's it.
Including the words that Mayor.
We're including the words which Mr. Dobby spoke here. Yes. So I mean, to clarify that, Hamish can correct me, so we're deleting 5, we're going to insert the words there that the meeting instructs the CEO to meet with the men's shed and investigate obtaining a short-term temporary use of the green shed at Wheatfield Beach.
Right, so.
Can we hear the resolution, because I'm.
Yeah.
So this page in entirety is the resolution, is that correct?
So this is just the amendment, we need to vote on that.
So you vote on the amendment.
Okay,
Vote on the amendment
first.
So the amendment, the amendment is removing 5.
And replacing with what we just said.
Replacing it with that.
Yep, correct.
And that's been seconded.
By Hamish, moved by myself, seconded by Hamish.
Can we hear it, please? Can we hear the
Hamish, are you
amendment?
able to repeat that, that process that you just explained?
That the board instructs the chief executive to work with the men's shed to facilitate the use of the green shed on a temporary basis.
Yep.
Excuse me, is there going to be a limit on that temporary?
Well, temporary means temporary.
It's a Mexican one.
Just, if you could address the chair, please, if you're going to say anything.
Okay, Gilbert. It's okay. I know that. We're just observers. Yeah, okay, just observers. I don't mind being an observer.
So Pauline, are you comfortable?
So just to clarify for everyone around the table, it is the entire motion, the entirety with, oh no, sorry, it's just the amendment. Thank you.
Just the amendment.
Just the amendment.
Amendment is replacing clause 5 with. Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, we'll move that amendment. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, now we'll move to the substantive motion. Pauline?
Can we just have 1 minute, just to check there's no unintended consequences? Just in regards to, I hope we're not in weeds here, but in regards to 3, the working party, in respect to the Amberley domain, given that we've received this information that suggests that it is a recreation reserve and this would be a concession, that it would need ministerial permission.
So we'll have to cover, so the working party and staff will have to cover off those issues that clearly up. The ones that turned up in this late email.
Yeah. Happy with that? Any further? Okay, so we now have the substantive motion, which is the original one down to 4 with 5 replaced, which we have just said. Okay. Further discussions? So put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Against? So against for
Abstain.
abstain.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I got the count wrong there. I missed what you-
I actually did it because it's actually quite a lot to take in, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is quite,
Just
yeah,
Okay.
too much.
a lot. Yeah, and it's all getting changed and it's all, yeah, so I was a bit lost, to be honest.
Okay, so there was no vote, abstentions. Yeah, so we have
Carried by
3. So it's carried.
correct. That's right. Yep.
Right. Right. So, if you want me. Yeah. So I've just been reminded by Natasha, that our governance advisor, that by law, this meeting has to finish at 10 o'clock, so we only have 20 minutes. 10:30. 10:30. Okay, sorry, 10:30. So we're getting really, really tight on time. Okay. So the next one, given that we moved into this, is food security. Bruno. The issue here is to use Seadown Crescent. There's
Mr. Chair, we were being requested to, for a report to come back to the Southwood Community Board in regards to the potential design. Perhaps the appropriate action.
yes, that's right, so. Yes, so we are waiting for the report.
This board would need to request
Yes, we should
Put a
request it. So
recommendation in.
can I move, Mr. Chair, that we receive the presentation from the Hamley Community Garden and well, that's one, and request a report to come back to the community board in due course on the covering the process and issues raised in the presentation.
Am I able to address the chair?
Yes.
Can I just ask what issues that you were referring to?
I was broken suddenly for words.
We're wanting to request the usage of the South Ward.
And I mean, you indicated you're going to come back on health and safety, and you need to talk to the property people about the terms of your occupancy, that they are happy to make it informal. And I think they're the big ones there.
And that we have your approval to look at proceeding.
I'm sorry, I left my
Sorry.
I have left my brain at home.
That we are seeking approval.
Yes, to seek approval,
progress.
correct, yes, so I mean,
So let's keep
yes.
it really simple.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yes, so that, so Natasha, can you read back what I said? It's been on the fly.
To request a report come back to the South Ward Community Board that covers the issues raised in the presentation.
It's approval to progress that.
It's approval.
And seeking approval to progress, yeah.
And-
And seeking
and to
approval.
seek-
Yeah, yeah, they'll cover it. I think you happy
To
with that?
progress.
Can you?
Tail feather, yeah, seeking approval to progress it. Cool.
The South Ward Community Board requests a report to come back, which covers the issues raised in the presentation and to seek approval to progress.
Yep.
With the community garden or
Yeah.
the forest.
Yeah.
Community.
It's, you can see there.
okay, second, yes, thank you. Any further discussion? We'll put the motion, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carry. Carry. Next one was a presentation from Julia Allen and Alex Ryan regarding Hamley Beach road safety. That has been it's an ongoing thing as long as I've been in council, about trying to get a road down there, and you know, Hurunui Trails Trust with Alex as part of that is an integral part of that, and has been, you know, for forever. There are funding issues.
Maybe if I just give some advice, I mean, you know, we are running out of time and we need to make good decisions with good information, and I wonder whether we ask, you know, officers to present a paper that details the advantages and disadvantages, the cost implications and the funding mechanisms or not of that, and then you'll know what you're deciding on. So perhaps that's a way forward from the presentation.
So we've got something in writing.
Mr. Chairman, so what they were asking was ultimately they were just asking to endorse the project. Now, that endorsement will help them get funding from other funding agencies. So I think that's, from listening to what they were saying, that was what they were primarily after from this group, just the endorsement.
So there's a comment, Mr. Chair, that In terms of funding, the only funding source we have is the roadside construction account. Overdrawn 45 grand at the moment, only gets 20 grand a year. That debt clears, I think, 27, 28. And at that stage, we've got money expended again. And theoretically, it would be possible to use that, but we don't know what the other priorities will be at that time. It's something we would normally look at if you're going to do that in the annual plan in 27. I'm not quite sure, Dolly might be able to help us, whether you can start to consider that in the annual plan next year in 26. That would be all, but that's the only source of funding we've got, and it's years out and as you say, that at this stage, didn't directly ask for it, but that's the only source, and it's quite a few years away. So I think Hamish sums it up. I think we do something like that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The impression I got is that they're approaching some funding agencies like the Rata Foundation, just as a name pulled out of the air, but some of those that are not part of council. And from having applied for funding from various agencies like that, having an endorsement really actually helps the case. So yeah, we would be doing them.
So just is there any issue in us endorsing for us endorsing the project to put a pathway to the future?
No, I don't see any particular risk in that. And I note that some funding agencies actually require a resolution of council before extend funding. So a resolution could be very helpful for them.
Okay. So you were the one who wrote the words down there, Hamish, if you
okay. I should let him take
that the community board endorses
yeah.
In principle.
And endorses in principle
the
establishment of a pathway from Amberley to Amberley Beach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Would we add something, and I'm just wondering whether we should be putting something there about supporting funding applications or not, or just leave it there. Just leave it there. Just leave it there.
It's supplementary through by that process.
If a funder does need a resolution, they're going to be quite specific on the wording of that resolution, and they'll come back in due course on that.
So,
yeah, I just think that you should mention the Trails Trust in that, so that
The
if
Harbour
they are
Trails
going
Trust.
to a funder, then it's very clear that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it endorses the efforts of the Hurunui Trails Trust to establish a pathway between Amberley and Amberley Beach. All right. On that one, yeah. Okay, would somebody care to move that?
Yeah.
Hamish, thank you. Brett, thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Next one is the Paton Court. And on the top terrace suggested not called on the top terrace of the domain next to the path, well away from trees and hedges and all that sort of thing, at ground level. Anybody have any?
So, Mr. Chair, just to confirm, so the application will be coming through as individuals, and that's allowed under the contestable scheme, but there is a bit of an issue regarding GST that will need to be clarified with ADRA. Okay, that will work through, and also if it would mean that the council will actually have to do the work. There's nobody out there that's going to accept the tender.
So
I don't think. So
no, if there's a quote attached.
I know you've got a quote. Who's going to accept it?
No, that's all that's Joe Hassel's organising that with Patonk.
Well, the application, as I understand it, is coming from individuals. Not coming from a group.
It's been accepted though.
What has been accepted?
For the Patonk Court.
The quote.
Yes, it hasn't been accepted, but the money has been. So on page 39 of the agenda, there is, that was discussed at AREG. And so we have already discussed it. It's been, a member said there was funding support for it.
So, but holding back the truck up, the advisory group doesn't have authority.
Doesn't have authority, but that we had a Patonk Court letter come, we've had the same letter as come through. So we've
approve funds
discussed.
from the
No,
discretionary
we don't
fund?
have the permission to approve funds. We're just, at the moment, we're having they've organised a site visit.
Yes, I'm aware of that,
Yeah.
January, February.
Yeah.
But, so who's going to accept the quote?
Not well aware of that.
So this is what I'm getting at. I think it would have to be accepted by the council, but you then raise the issue that there may be a supervision fee as well, and there come issues about, because the ADRA will have to pay its money into the council, and it becomes a question, is it 2,000 GST inclusive or exclusive? So just a few wee things to work out. But at this stage, what we're waiting for is for the Reserves Advisory Group to come back and confirm a site to us. Is that not correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So I think we have to get that approval back, and then we can talk about and consider making a grant from the discretion.
But it's sort of, it has been sort of semi-approved. It's just there was only two just people that were wanting to organise a visit, and that was the AMP Association.
Yeah.
And we could not. I was for it.
So when you're talking about approval, that's approval by the AA, the Reserves Advisory Group of the, yeah, okay, that's right.
So we have approved the site.
Yeah, gotcha, that's right, that's
We're
fine.
happy for the site to go ahead, apart from AMP wanted to have, two AMP members want to have a site visit. So.
Okay, that's right, that's fine, okay, I just didn't quite get what you're getting at. So Mr Chair, with the Patonk Court, I think we just move that we note that the Amberley Reserve Advisory Group will come back with approval on a site. And at that point, we can consider a grant from the discretionary fund. That's sum it up? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, if it's approved by this
I'll
board.
say something, it's fine.
Yeah.
I was going to move a resolution, but that's okay. Something's been moved. No, it's on the table.
Okay, so did you capture what,
Can you repeat that, please, Stephen?
could you just repeat?
Sorry,
So the Amberley
I
Reserve.
apologise for leaving my hearing aids at home. So I'm sorry, I mean, the resolution, I move that we just note that the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group is considering a site for the Patonk Group and will advise us back on an approved site early in the new year, full stop. And that'd be one. And number two would be, at that stage, the board can consider a grant from the discretionary fund towards the Patonk Group.
Contestable fund.
Sorry, what did I say?
You said discretionary.
It's getting late.
All right, second of it.
I just wonder, Mr Chair, if actually what we're looking for is actually a report that comes back to this committee on the potential site. And that in itself would just cover off the Amberley Reserves Advisory Group tick off, I guess, for want of a better word. I just wonder if we're making.
Yeah, isn't it sort of under in hand?
I think it's within the orbit of the.
It seems to me that the pieces of the puzzle are there, and it's one getting agreement to put it in, and it's subject to those.
So AREG needs is to come through the South Ward Committee. whatever. Is that we're happy for it to proceed. Or support the Peton Court.
I think just the little bit of information that I'm missing is how this interacts with proposed geotechnical observatory, geophysical.
It's not, it's way, you're in the wrong place. It's on the far corner of the domain.
That's fine.
So just say that again.
We're just, if it's agreed, so that this is the last piece of the puzzle for Peton, is for this community board to agree to, in principle, for the Peton Court to go ahead in the domain.
In the area suggested.
Yeah.
In the paper.
Yeah. And if it will just happen.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it comes down to. It doesn't involve council or any funding, extra funding, if the funding's already been secured.
I guess it's only consideration as to whether the $2,000 for contestable fund.
Yes.
It needs to be considered in the overall, because you've got a guarantee, that's why I read it and hear it.
Yeah.
You've been guaranteed some funding through
ADRA.
Thank you.
And
you've
there's
got,
another, sorry.
yeah, and you've got the site secured, but except for permission from the AMP.
Yeah.
And then this committee, this board needs to consider whether you're willing to use some of the funds from the contestable fund.
Yeah,
That's the process.
So, Mr. Chair, just Mr. Dobby, question. If, for example, the council accepts the quote and does the supervision, there will be a staff time cost associated with the group, which should really be taken into account in the amount of money that we allocate from the discretionary fund. So we just need to, there's just a few wee fine tunings on what the amount would be around GST and around that staff supervision cost as well. So we'll work that through at the time.
I don't see the GST issue being particularly.
No, not really. I'm assuming that they mean
the quote is exclusive, which is what we assume.
no, well, no, the quotes for 800, including GST, I think. But I take it that the Residents Association would be happy to add GST to that amount. So it depends on whether what Jason's views are, whether it's it used to be the case,
Jason,
an
yeah,
old
we
one, yeah.
could ask him, but Murray just.
So I guess what I was just saying, to just consider process, we have one person speaking through the chair at a time.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh. Greetings. Jason, have you been hearing the comment around GST, etc., on the payment for the Peton Court?
Yes, I have. Yeah, certainly it wouldn't be an issue. Generally, any of the contestable fund projects, I generally pay on behalf of the applicant. We claim the GST, so the amount that ends up coming out of the contestable fund is simply the GST exclusive amount.
So, yeah. So Jason.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, can I ask Jason a question? So the ADRA paying us $2,000 into the council, the treatment of GST on that, do they need to add GST to their $2,000 or?
That would be classified as a general donation. And then we wouldn't necessarily need to declare GST on that.
Okay, all right, that answers it. Cool. Good on. Solved.
Okay, so remind me, do we have a resolution on the table, or are we going to?
It was a resolution, but
It's failed.
well,
Did it? No.
I just don't think it was seconded.
It wasn't seconded.
it wasn't seconded, sorry.
Okay, so the resolution is that the South Ward Community Board supports the installation of Peton Court on the top terrace of the domain. Okay.
We haven't support from Reserves Advisory Group yet.
Awaiting.
But they're waiting for.
Yeah, so they will send that through to us when you get it. So I think I'd suggested move that we see the dictation and note that a approval to a site is afforded in due course from the Reserves Advisory Group, and at that point we would consider a payment from the contestable fund. Someone wants to second that.
Just mention something, Jeff. The idea was to get the go ahead that Tom Court could be positioned. So that was the whole criteria. So ADRA paying half of it, and if the council wanted to pay, that's fine, but it's not necessary. We just need permission to put it in.
Yeah.
We're not looking for the money.
Okay. But if that's added in as a rider, then it's.
Well, yeah.
Flag. I hear you.
Because if we get the go ahead, it can go up. Otherwise,
It's just, yeah, we're waiting on the reserves.
yeah, I understand that. The ice beginning.
Okay. Okay, so can you just.
So we're going to stay with the one that Kevin, the motion that Kevin presented, which is the Southport Community Board seeks to receive information from the Amberley Reserve Advisory Group.
The letter 6 balance of 2080 from the contestable fund.
Sorry, I missed it.
Give it the letter, Mr. Chair.
No, it doesn't have to await from ADRA. It's.
Just to view the site.
Yeah.
It's just, and if we review the site, it has to go to the South Board, Community Board, and all they're looking for is permission.
Yeah. So what it was, the South Board Community Board approves the suggested positioning of the Tom Court.
So, excuse me, Mr. Chair, we shouldn't be approving the position, we're still awaiting. Okay.
Awaiting AREC.
When
We approve the top, whatever AREC agrees with where it's going to go.
So we put subject to finalisation by AREC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's got to be approved by them.
Tom Court on the
Same as what happened
upper terrace. Subject to final approval by AREC.
AREC?
Yeah. Okay, and I think we'll just leave the funding, the contestable fund out, okay?
Could we
So
please hear the resolution?
really simple.
The Southport, that the Southport Community Board supports the Tom Court on the upper terrace at the Amberley Domain, subject to final approval from AREC.
Yep.
Perfect, I'll second that.
Yep.
Okay, move seconded.
So moved, second.
All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Right. Now, the last one is the Amberley Beach campground. And obviously a lot of new information there, so and an effort by the beach community to sort of get the whole thing up and running again. Change the dynamics of it and use of it have changed markedly over the last few years.
So we can have general discussion on that, Mr. Chair. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, if you look at the financial report, you'll see for the year ended October, the actual funds received $1,400, budget for year to date $14,000, shortfall $12,000. If we look at November 24, the camping ground got 8,409, November 25, 2,770, 7,639 less. So it's cost us already over $7,000 not having entry barriers and entry system there. So we're leaving money hand over fist. So that's the issue there. So we need to do something. So the few issues, we need to do something immediately about trying to get a payment, honesty payment system there. Look at a longer term payment system and then have a look at this proposal from Penny and see if there's anything on there which makes commercial sense that might be able to be worked through in some manner or other. So, I mean, I had done a resolution along those lines and I suggest again, the subcommittee could make it a working party. But I'm, given what happened last time, I'm loath to move anything actually, frankly, so I'll leave it there.
Yeah, James.
With summer approaching, something needs to be done quite urgently with that camping ground. And I think we're just going to have to wing it for the summer months and do a donation voluntary thing and get away from the barriers. And I think we direct the council to install donation boxes, a voluntary system down there, and just try and get some money coming in is better than none, and drop the rates.
Can we I don't know, Mr. Dobby can confirm this, but I don't think we can change the rate at this stage. Fees and charges.
You can pass a resolution to change the rates. I mean, the set fees and charges. You can pass a resolution recommending a change in that rate to the council, but
yeah,
ask a question and turn your back.
Yeah,
I was listening.
Yeah.
So can I pass a resolution?
Sweet. You recommend to council, but fees and charges have to go through a special consultative procedure when they're set.
Yes, so it was the last meeting.
So they'll go through a special consultative procedure, normally with the annual plan. Otherwise, we'd have to run a separate special consultative procedure. For these individual fees and charges.
But if we're running a donation box, if we're getting some money, not the full amount, it's better than none.
Yeah, but I guess you can't set the fee very simply just by passing a resolution.
Sorry.
So maybe putting in a donation box and just giving it a go. I wonder where the old ones went.
Yeah, so I move that we put in a donation.
So you're talking about, say, a donation box with a Koha system of a suggested amount of, say, $15 rather than 20.
Yeah, but you just missed the whole conversation over there. We can't change it.
We can't change it.
I thought.
We can't change it.
That's what I thought.
Can't change it.
That's what I
So,
thought.
there's obviously, this immediate issue is what's on the.
We need to get
all of these suggestions here are capital intensive and going to take a long time. So, if it's possible to get a donation box, one at either end.
No, you just need one, Mr. Chair. I think you'd be happy with just one central one.
I think if you get one at each end, it would be fantastic. But if we could get any, it would be also equally great.
So perhaps a resolution that we recommend to
council
council to
Install
two
two
box.
donation boxes at either end of the camping ground.
So as a temporary measure over the summer? Or
Yes, as a temporary measure over the summer.
is that feasible, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's a cost of collecting the money and dealing with the cash and accounting for it, that sort of thing, but well, you campers might carry cash.
Yeah.
So
So,
you get no co-op need.
Yeah,
so through you, Mr. Chair. So there's the issue of an ICT box to cash, but in addition, you can also have I know Robert said the internet's not too good, but you could also have an internet payment option as well. And people pay for the council halls on the internet. Why can they not pay for council camping ground? So that allows at least some online payment system as well.
We're dealing with backpackers and stuff like that also use those camping grounds. And if we could get those, because when I was involved with the Scargill Mutton Reserve, and our cash box used to be filled to the brim every week with money. So it's just
Some will have
So I think that is an immediate suggestion to try and get something. We're not going to be able to address any of these other things. So did you?
So Mr. Chair, are you instructing staff?
There was a motion.
Where to suggest.
So what's the motion?
Recommends, the Southwood Community Board recommends that council installs two honesty boxes at either end of the campground.
So
That's all I'm at this point.
is recommend the council, is that the right wording?
Offices.
Oh, you can instruct council officers.
Instruct council officers, I thought would be better.
Okay. Either end of the campground.
Yes, yeah. Wow. Okay, any further discussion on that?
So do you, the longer term issues of payment and the camping ground down there, are you?
This is a temporary thing.
I'm aware of that, but what do you want to? Well, we're ignoring those at the moment.
Yeah.
We can't do much about the moment, but do we have a longer term process to deal with those issues?
So I certainly see that coming back into council, but as it stands, this needs a lot of work done on it in order to work out a different pathway forward.
So
it's a very difficult situation.
What's the process around that?
You'll be the representative down there and communicating back and forwards. Okay, so we've got a motion on the table by James, seconded by Annika. All right, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's carried. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now we move on to the fee requests. So page 29. Oh, I just want to pull it. All right, page 20. Yeah, a request for a fee waiver for seed course. Fee waiver is $60. It was a request to waive the whole lot of that's 3 hours and it's actually been 19th of November. Any discussion on that? James?
I'd just like to add that I've already discussed the first 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 at the AREG meeting, and we've approved, AREG has approved all three of those.
So, Mr. Chair, just through your question, I was curious as to why these have gone to Arden Amberley Reserves Advisory Group. They didn't seem to go to AREG when they went through to South Ward, but now they seem to have gone there. I wasn't quite sure why this change of process happened.
It's held in the reserve. So the carols in the park, the Kauai Sports.
This is a fee, this is just a fee waiver though, it's not approved.
It's a fee waiver, but they come through because it involves the Amberley domain. So all these.
Has it always been the case?
It's always been the case.
It has. And so they've made a recommendation that they're happy with.
So we've made a recommendation, we're happy with it.
And this is in the reserve. This is a seed one. So this has been held as back, it's way back in 19 November. Why are these are just coming through now?
Yeah.
Just the process.
So the other thing was, Mr. Chair, through you, if you look at the fees and charges that have been approved by council, it makes a statement that not-for-profit groups can seek a fee waiver in respect to reserves. It does not mention the halls or the swimming pool. It specifically just talks about the reserves. So what authority do we have to grant a waiver when the reserves the only ones in terms of the fees and charges schedule that can actually do a fee waiver on? Perhaps Mr. Dobby can comment. In which case, I think there's a radical rewrite of the fees and charges required, isn't there, to make that quite clear?
Okay.
We're getting a bit sidetracked.
Yeah, I think we
But anyway,
understand what the issue is here. And the three first ones have been all recommended by AREG. And so we have the officer recommendation on page 20 that the South Ward we'll put in approves the $60 fee waiver for seed course to use the pavilion on the 19th. So we'll have a mover.
Yeah.
James.
We go to the next one.
Pauline, yeah. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried.
Chair, Mr. Chair, against, thank you.
Against, okay. Thank you. The next one is relating to carols in the park. That the South Ward Community Board will put the motion that approve the $150 fee waiver from the Inspired Church for the use of the Amberley domain, and that was for the carols in the park. I have a mover.
I'm happy to move that.
Yeah,
It's a
Pauline.
fantastic community event for a large number of people.
Yeah, okay. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against, carried. Thank you.
So I'm moving myself from the discussion for the next item.
Next one is Sefton
Kauai
Sports, yeah.
So
and just note that Pauline is. Okay, so we have a recommendation that South Ward Community Board approves the $100 fee waiver requested for Sefton School for the use of the Amberley domain for the Kauai Schools cluster trade.
So, Mr. Chair, I understand they had a waiver back in 2 months ago for the Kauai Sport.
That was the Kauai Sports Athletics Day.
It wasn't the same group. Okay, all right, cool.
Each school takes a turn of running it. And it's for every school, and they have hundreds of kids. So
Okay.
I move.
Yeah, James, thank you. Yeah, Brett, thank you. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
So, Mr. Chair, there was another, we didn't cover it in the minutes, but we had talked about getting our own policy on fees because we do not have a policy. on
Yes,
fees.
let's just address this and then.
Right, so just note, we should have talked about that.
Just gonna note that we have 10 minutes to get through our
Yeah,
business
yeah.
before our standing orders preclude us.
Fee waiver.
Yeah, fee waiver, page 29, it's for the Inspire Church for the Huruli Community Christmas Dinner that has been going for many years. So the recommendation is that we approve the $900 fee waiver for the Inspire Church. They need 3 days to set up, do the deal and then get it down. And this is a great community service. I'm aware that Lions helps with this and you know, there are a number of having to move that. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you. Now. Financial report. Are you there, Jason?
Yep, I'm here. I am
Sorry.
very mindful.
Yeah, sorry about this.
No, you're absolutely fine. I think at this late stage, it's probably just best to take the report as read. Just very quickly, I've only just been able to have visibility of some of these numbers in the last few days through our new software system. So there hasn't been any chance to do any analysing the numbers at all. So there is a bit of work I know needs to be done on them. So I just putting a big qualification there that I don't have full confidence in the numbers being absolutely correct. But if nothing, it gives you gives the community board members a bit of a flavour of what finances you're responsible for in respect to the amenities on page 2 of the that was the the thing that I sent yesterday, and then page 3 we have the swimming pool, the roadside construction account, the Amberley Beach Foreshore Protection Fund, and then we go on to a couple of the development contribution funds, township reserve DC funds, the walking and cycling routes, and then on page 4 the remaining one for the ward reserve DC fund. We've got a tiny amount of debt left in the Leftfield Beach Reserve Fund relating to the tennis courts, and then finally the reserve contestable fund, and then page 5 is the full reconciliation of that fund. So I know that's a very quick whistle stop tour of the finances. I certainly, as we head into the new year, one of the first items of business will be developing the budget for the 26-27 year. So there'll be a lot more information to be provided at that point.
Okay, thanks very much, Jason. And I mean, you have made progress because it was only a few days ago that you weren't able to give us this. So look, we thank you for that. And what I'd like to suggest now is that we just close off this. We don't take any discussion now, but we do have something to work with. And at our meeting in February, we'll give a lot more time and diligence to the finance report. So,
so Mr. Chair, just before we go, I did have quite a few questions. We don't have time for them. So can we send the questions to Jason now, copy in the other members, and get a reply back that way? Thank you.
So Jason, are you happy
Yes, no, absolutely happy. That's fine. I might not have all the answers quite yet, but certainly, yeah, if it's done offline, I can seek those answers if I don't have them.
Yes, so, and as you said, copying to all other members, I think is very useful. Okay.
But as I say, I've got quite a few questions.
Yes, I understand that. But if you copy everybody in, then people can learn, you know, what
Jason can reply back.
What path, yes, he would do that. What pathway your questioning is on, and it'll be a good education exercise for everybody. Okay. So I'll just, you know, happy for you to go and do that, but
that's fine. And also,
we do need to. So, Jason, thank you very much. We'll give you a lot more time in the new year.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for waiting around, Jason. Can I move that the information be accepted?
Yes, second,
yeah.
Okay. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carry. Thank you. Now, correspondence items. So that was just wanting to use the right hand side of the domain along
the top terrace.
To the right, yeah. On a Thursday, anybody?
Could we direct that back to?
Yes, so it is on the top terrace above the green shed under the hedge, which is past the Petanque court. There is a fenced off area there along the top terrace above the rugby fields. That's where they'd like to have their dog training, and I'm in full support of it. It's just a rubber stamp exercise.
Okay.
I'm happy to allow, I move that we're happy to allow that they use the area. Really.
Okay.
Does that need to be discussed at the Reserves Advisory?
It's already been discussed and approved.
So you recommended that?
Yeah, we've recommended that we approve it.
Okay. So, yeah, South Ward approves the use of the, what's the description?
The top terrace area of the western side of the domain.
By North Canterbury Dog
Trainers.
Training Club, I guess, yes. Okay, any further discussion on that? Okay, Susan.
So, Mr. Chair, sorry, finish this, please, I'll just.
Okay, so all in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried.
So, Mr. Chair, there was in that motion on the men shed, we adopted a working party, etc., but we haven't appointed anybody to it. That's the only thing.
You just repeat that, sorry.
So number 3, the board forms a working party consisting of 2 representatives of the men shed, 2 from the South Ward, 4 members, 1 from the Reserve Advisory Group. So we need to appoint 2 people to that working party. We haven't done so.
We have volunteers for that. Hamish? 7. Okay, so South Ward approves the appointment of to the joint committee or working group relating to
accommodation options for
issues.
And that we approach Canterbury Reserves Advisory Group and the men shed for their representatives.
Okay. Men shed and the other one?
A-Reg.
And A-Reg.
And representative.
Okay, so we have South Ward appointments to the working group relating to accommodating men shed. are Hamish Trollope, after mentioned, Hamish and Kevin, and that the South, and that the both as the Amberley, Minshed and Arag 4 representatives. Okay. So, moving, oh, well, no. Yeah, 4 days.
I'll move it. Yep.
Thanks, Pauline, Brett, okay. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, thank you. And we then have a lot of correspondence where, just on time, we have correspondence that we've all seen. We have the advisory group minutes. And I'll move that we just accept the information. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, that the information be received. Okay, I'll move that. Second, please. James, thanks. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. And we'll have to carry over the work on the action schedule. Okay? And we could accept seeing let's sorry, just go back to the no, we can't do that. We'll do a second one too.
Shall I move that the information be received in regards to the council update from the 4th of November?
Thank you, Pauline. Yeah. Hamish, thank you. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Right. Thank you, everybody. I knew it was going to be a bit of a long run, so thank you very much for all your input. And, so let's hope that we can correct, all the reins in a bit for the next one. So thank you for going along, Mari and Hamish. Yeah, really appreciate it.
So, Mr. Chair, we've got